Good evening and welcome back to another live stream edition of Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. To those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. And to my returning subscribers, y'all are family. Welcome back, family. Welcome back. All right, so we are going to be touching on a very powerful download that I got this evening. Not this evening, yesterday, this morning. Good Lord, everything's running together, y'all. I missed my yoga class today. I normally go to yoga on Wednesdays. And I got to tell y'all, for some reason, I felt like today was Thursday. So, hey, what's up, Mariah? Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. Y'all, I literally thought that today was Thursday. I completely missed my yoga class. Not Thursday. I thought today was Tuesday. And I'm just like, by midday, I realized I missed my 8 a.m. yoga class. And I was like, man, these days are flying by. What's up, Bernadette? Thank you. Thank you for joining. Lady Dagger Status, thank you for joining tonight. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I got a hot one for y'all tonight. Let me tell y'all, this download right here was so powerful. It was hard to hold. Like the information was coming in. I'm trying to write it all down this morning when I got up. And she said, no worries. I slept until 9:16 a.m. for work. Oh, wow. Wow. Yo, I mean, it's happening right now. Like everything is flying by so fast, you don't even know what time it is. And before you know it, you wake up and it's midday. And then before you know it, it's like the lights are out, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And I know this is par for the course. People are going to say, well, that's what tends to happen as we're approaching the winter solstice. I get all of that. But it just seems like it's been a lot different. It just seems like it's been a lot faster now. So it's hard to keep up with, y'all. It is so hard to keep up with. But anyway, everybody goes to heaven and hell. Everybody goes to heaven and hell. Y'all, when I got this download this morning, it blew my mind. She said, no, the days seem faster. Yeah, that's because time is speeding up. Lady Dagger Status, I saw this short. Either it was a short or it was a TikTok video some months ago, but it was somebody breaking down the science of what happens around these age flips. And it's like everything speeds up to this rapid time, and then time collapses, and then it seems like everything comes to a stop, and then it slows back down. And this is how we progress through the ages. And with us departing the age of Pisces and entering into the age of Aquarius, if that is true, then this is par for the course. So anyway, what's up, B Royalty? Thank y'all for being here tonight. So y'all, listen, I'm going to hit y'all with a little bit of music tonight. It's not going to be that reggae, that royalty-free reggae. It's a little bit of a play on words with the title, Everybody Goes to Heaven and Hell. Once you learn this truth, everything changes. Y'all, when I drop this download on y'all that I got, I'm expecting some of y'all are going to be as mind blown as I was, okay? So I'm probably going to get, a copyright warning for this. But what I did with the last video I did, the last live stream, is I've just been going back into the videos after I go live and then trimming out the part where, there's just an empty chair and you guys are watching an empty chair. So I'm going to run and grab my beverages real quick. And when I come back, y'all, we going in. This one was almost too hot to hold. Like, I'm like, I couldn't even keep up with it. This was a powerful download, y'all. It really consumed me writing out the notes for this. So anyway, y'all, let me do this. If y'all haven't done so already, y'all know the drill. Go ahead and tap that like button for me, and I'll be right back. Let me turn on some music. You're watching Maddie's Rap with author and storyteller Matt D. Talford. I'll be right back, y'all. Y'all enjoy this play on words for a song. And YouTube copyright police, don't worry. I'm going to cut it out. After the live stream is uploaded. So here we go, y'all. I kept it pretty simple. In this special live stream, I will be sharing a very powerful information download that peels back yet another layer of the illusion to reveal a very powerful and eye-opening truth about reality and existence. Y'all, I wanted to say, I wanted to get a little bit more descriptive in the title, but to be honest with you, I was a little bit concerned that the ops, YT got some ops too. They got their ops too. They watch certain channels, even though my channel is nowhere near the size of larger platforms. I know they got, I'm flattered. That they got people assigned to me. Let's just say I'm flattered. Okay. I'm flattered that y'all think I'm making enough noise over here that me with this little tiny, by comparison, 6,000 some odd subscriber channel that y'all would find me important enough to keep an eye on me. So I got to be clever with my titling sometimes, y'all, and especially with the description that I put in there. But this one is powerful. This one is powerful. So y'all be sure as you're coming in that you hit the like button, because I want everybody to get this message. I want this message to go far and wide. So let me jump right in, y'all. Let me jump right in, because I took some lengthy notes, y'all. I was writing for about 2 hours this morning, this download. I looked up and I'm like, what time is it? That's how I missed my yoga class this morning. I mean, again, I thought it was Tuesday for starters, and then I just started writing. And then when I looked, now, if I wasn't writing this download, I probably would have recognized it was Wednesday. But y'all, I've been to some other dimensions. Let me say that, and a lot of y'all do, especially when you go to sleep at night. So a lot of y'all are action heroes, action fighters, or in other realms. And Maddie tips his hat to y'all, man, because y'all doing it. Y'all doing it here on Earth. You're doing it in the heavens. You're doing it in the ether. You're doing it in other realities. Some of y'all do it big, and it is an honor to have y'all here. So I want to tell y'all that before we get started. Y'all have no idea how much you all inspire me. Each and every one of you. You guys inspire me so much. It gets me pumped when I get the download to be able to share it with y'all, because I know y'all are high vibe. I mean, if this was high school, y'all the advanced, y'all the AP students, y'all the advanced placement students. You know, if this is college, y'all in that master's level, thesis level. Okay, y'all are dope, man. Y'all are so dope. And I'm not just saying that just to blow hot smoke or puff or whatever. No, y'all are dope. Y'all, I got some of the finest individuals in the land that are subscribers to this channel, and that's why I love coming on here, going live with y'all. I do. I want y'all to know that. So I wanted to give y'all props before we get started tonight. So let's see. Bernadette said, I was hoping you would speak on this topic, Matt. I'm excited about this one. So y'all know the deal. Y'all know the deal. I got this segmented. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like we did the other one. I ain't gonna go back down that path again. All right, I was a little lit. All right. I'm gonna do like that one. I'm gonna get through these segments, and then we're going to pause and check the comments. So let's get started. Everybody goes to heaven and hell. And once you learn this truth, this very powerful truth, everything changes. Now, before we begin, let me say that I probably should have placed an asterisk in front of the word everybody. Okay, I probably should have done that. When I went back and looked at the title, I thought about changing it, but this platform is kind of funny. It happens on Instagram too. Once you do a post, if you go in there and edit it after you've already posted it, for some reason it kind of kills the propagation of it. So I just let it go. But if I could have done it from the beginning, I would have put an asterisk next to the word everybody. Okay. And you're going to know why I'm saying this as we progress through tonight's lesson. So now y'all know I like to give y'all a bonus at the end, like dessert. But this week it's going to be an appetizer. I'm going to give y'all that abstract bonus up front. This is abstract. Okay. I normally do this at the end, but I want to get this out of the way right now because of the subject matter. Okay. So let me read for y'all a passage of scripture. It's a familiar one, but y'all are going to understand why I'm reading this one in just a moment. Let me bring this up. Okay. Thank y'all for being here tonight. If you're new and you're just coming in, please tap that like button. It's going to let more people know that we're live and broadcasting tonight. Okay. So let me put this on the screen because this definitely goes with tonight's appetizer. Again, thank y'all for being here. Okay. Y'all know this one. It's already highlighted. Let me make sure it's on the screen. Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. All right? Now, let me explain to y'all why I read that passage of scripture. Let me explain that to y'all. For those of y'all that are up on chemtrails, for those of y'all in this chat right now that are up on chemtrails, what is the general consensus of what constitutes chemtrails? I'm gonna give y'all a minute to put that in the chat. For those of y'all that's up on them. Now, if you're down in Florida, you already know what's his name? Ron DeSantis was like, nah, y'all, let me see one plane with some chemicals coming out of the back of it and FAFO. See what's gonna happen. Jail time, buddy, and heavy fine. And for those of y'all that are wondering what the beverage of choice is tonight, I got a little San Pellegrino Aranciata Rosa. It's like the blood orange sparkling water from San Pellegrino. I got that mixed with a little bit of apple juice and some ice. And then I got my tea over here, y'all. So y'all tell me, give me somebody just y'all start shooting in the dark if you don't know. What do you think constitutes or makes up the stuff that they spray out of the back of that plane? Okay, BE said hiding something they don't want us to see. Tour Girl said, yep. Those are probably correct, but that wasn't the answer I was looking for. Some of y'all have probably heard this and put a thumbs up in the chat if you have. Carbon, not so much, not so much. Y'all put this in the chat if you've heard this. Heavy metals. A lot of the constitution of what comes out of in that smoke out of the back of those planes are heavy metals. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you have heard that. Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Okay. So I wanted to make sure y'all knew that and have heard that. Now, if you recall, I did a video back in 2020, I think it was. It was titled Wake Up Judah. Oh, you didn't know that? Okay, yeah. I did this video titled Wake Up Judah, and in it I had a screenshot of a web article that was talking about why Bill Gates was, I call him Think He Slick Willie G, was leading up an effort to spray clouds, artificial clouds. They were trying to block out the sunlight in order to, what's the word I'm looking for? Deal with global warming. Okay, that was the story. Hey, we need to try to block out the sun so we can deal with global warming and bring the temperatures down. Right? We already know that's a farce. I mean, this winter alone ought to tell you that was a whole lie. Like, it's like cold already, and it's still technically by the calendar fall. It's not even winter yet. So heavy metals. Okay, now they have to know, right? And the reason why I'm saying this, I just gave y'all the backdrop of why they said they were doing it originally. They have to know that they cannot block out sunlight. Like, you can't block out sunlight. You might be able to block direct sunlight, but you can't block sunlight. And you definitely can't block daylight, because the daylight precedes the sunlight. How do we know? I saw this on someone else's video early on back in the days when they were doing flat earth videos, and I hope y'all picked up what I was whispering there. I ain't trying to trigger no little message underneath the video at the end. But back when those videos were propagating around the internet, before they started scrubbing the internet and removing and hiding a lot of that stuff, one of the things that one of the biggest names out there in that community put out was that he just reminded anybody watching that video of the first chapter of Genesis, wherein he said on day one, he said, let there be light, and there was light. But it wasn't until day 4 that the sun, moon, and stars were hung into the firmament. So his question was, what was that daylight? What was the source of that daylight if there was no sun for another 3 days? I thought that was one of the most fascinating videos. And he proceeded to do this experiment in the lab, showing you how what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember, the noble gases. He said the noble gases in the upper atmosphere are, when they warm up, they produce daylight, and as they start to cool off, the daylight leaves. So daylight and sunlight are two different things. Sunlight is direct, daylight is like all encompassing. So I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Anyway, that's a side note. They got to know that they can't block out the sunlight. Okay, and again, their stated goal was to redirect the sun's harmful rays back out into space, or fake space, because we already done is so many people have shot holes in some of those NASA space station videos, whatever, International Space Station videos, and people have shot holes into that thing left and right. There's so many videos you can find on the internet now. You can see the cables helping people swim around and all that crazy stuff. Anyway, this ain't what this video is, but I'm laying the backdrop for you. Okay, so their original stated goal was they wanted to block the harmful rays of the sun back, or reflect them back in outer space. Now, if you go back to that video I did last week, sharing, y'all remember in that video I did, that live stream I did, where I shared how that warlock was trying to disrupt that female's crown and her third eye chakra. Remember, I never showed the video because I didn't want to get this video blocked or flagged or anything like that, because it was very actual. But I described it, and I told you all how it was sacral chakra on sacral chakra, and the sister was inverted, and here's this guy with this flogger with the metal fibers in it instead of leather, and he's swinging it around her head and going back and forth, but he's never touching her. I told y'all what that was. I told y'all he was trying to disrupt her crown chakra and her third eye chakra, and having her inverted on his lap, whatever he was doing. That metal flogger was to disrupt her crown chakra and her third eye chakra already, because they're inverted, and now he's disrupting the signals. Why? So that this was in order to, the purpose as I described it was in order to disrupt her ability to receive communication from the ethereal realms via that crown chakra. Okay. And that communication could have served to warn her that what she was engaging in was dark and dangerous. Okay. And then also he's going like from her head to the top, from her head to the top above her head. Your crown chakra sits here. Your third eye chakra is here. Your crown chakra sits above the scalp, the crown. Okay. So he's disrupting her so she can't get any communication from the higher realms that says, this guy right here ain't no good for you. He's wicked. He's evil. He's trying to soul snatch you. Okay. He's trying to create a soul tie. And then the third eye chakra to mess with her perception. She's upside down and he's doing all of this. And then he's quote unquote giving her pleasure at the same time, all this other stuff. I told you all that, right? So now you can put this together, because when you put that together, it was metal. He was using metal in an energy zone. Okay. That is exactly what I believe the unspoken goal of the heavy metals being sprayed to deflect the sun's harmful radiation back into space. I think the real goal is trying to disrupt the activation codes being beamed down by the sun. Do y'all see how all of this stuff goes together? I didn't know I was going to get this download today when I did that video last week, but everything I've been telling y'all, my videos, the content that I put on this channel dating back to 2019, 2020, they stack on top of each other. They build on top of each other. When you look at one video I did, you can kind of walk backwards, especially with the earlier stuff before I was going live. Because I wasn't doing all of the astrology stuff back then. But you look at some of my earlier scripture-based videos, they all tend to build on each other. Each one builds on the next. This theme continues. So that was what I think the goal. That is what I think the goal of this spraying heavy metals into the upper atmosphere is. Metal. Now watch this, okay? I'm going to show you all and tell you why I just read Proverbs 26 and 27. Okay? What does it say? It says, whoso diggeth the pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth the stone, it shall return upon him. It's going to roll back on him. So when you try to set a trap, you end up falling in your own trap. Now watch this. This is the result that their ignorant efforts yielded. Their ignorant efforts yielded instead of what they thought they were going to get, which was a disruption of these divine activation codes that are being beamed down from the sun. All right. Watch this. Again, put it together, y'all. Put it together. Put it back with the guy, the explanation of the warlock doing the thing with the metal flogger. Sure, metal can disrupt radio signals, or work against that signal strength. But metal is also a conductor of energy. Why do you think they put metal wires in Ethernet cable? When back in the day, when you would splice open a phone cable, the RJ11 that you would plug from the landline phone into the wall, you splice it open, it's got little metal fibers in it, right? Metal, y'all. Metal conducts energy. It conducts energy. This is why if you put a metal pan on a stove and you touch it, what happens is that heat energy, that thermal energy conducts via that metal, and that is what happens to cook your food, right? That's why earthen pots take longer to heat up than metal. Earth absorbs a lot more heat energy or thermal energy than does metal. So they use metal to try to disrupt the radio frequencies. So they thought, hey, you know what? What God or what the creator, what source is beaming down from the sun is radio frequencies. And if we can disrupt it with this metal, then they won't get these divine cosmic downloads, right? Watch this. Proverbs 26 and 27. I'm going to show y'all something here on the screen. Watch this. Watch this. This is the appetizer, y'all. We're gonna get to the main course in a minute. This is just the appetizer. Okay. She said, such powerful info. Be right back soon. If not, watch a replay. Thanks, Matt. You got it. My pleasure. Let me show y'all something here. All right. Where we at? Where are we? Let me see. Okay. All right, let me make this a little bigger, and then I'm going to share it to the screen. This is just the appetizer. It's just the appetizer. Y'all know your boy over here can cook. I can cook. So I bring you an appetizer. It's gonna be so good. You'll mess around and get full off of that before the main course come out. So just eat a little bit. Just eat a little bit. Here we come, y'all. Here we come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Come on. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, let me show y'all my prompt. What was my prompt? Right here. Does metal amplify radio signals? Does it amplify it? Watch this. The answer from the search assistant says metal does not amplify radio signals. Instead, it can reflect and absorb them, which may interfere with signal strength. That's what they were trying to do. That's what they try to do with these chemtrail planes. But watch this. Look at the next sentence. However, certain configurations, like using metal in antennas, can enhance signal reception by improving conductivity and efficiency. Do y'all see why I'm laughing? Do y'all see why I'm laughing? Let me read that again. Metal does not amplify radio signals. Instead, it can reflect and absorb them, which may interfere with signal strength. That's what they were trying to do. Reflect the sun's rays back into space, right? However, certain configurations, like using metal in antennas, can enhance signal reception by improving conductivity and efficiency. Whoso diggeth the pit shall fall therein, right? Now, on top of that, when you understand that there's a firmament above and it has water in it, what happens when you go out to a lake during during the summer where the sun's high? What do you see? You see the sun's rays reflecting off the water in the lake. So when you think you are reflecting that radiation and those signals back in outer space, there is no outer space. There's a firmament. So all they're doing is bouncing off your metal layer of clouds that you put there and then being redirected right back to Earth. And then guess what happens? Y'all ever see them games? One of those earliest late 1970s, early 1980s video games called Pong, where you turn that little dial and you got a little thing coming here and it's like blip, blip, blip. Guess what? It's just going to keep reflecting until those clouds dissipate and then it's going to come right back down. Y'all are so stupid. They so stupid, y'all. That's how stupid they are. What did I tell y'all? What do I always tell y'all on this channel? The Most High does not give wisdom to the wicked. He doesn't give them wisdom. So they're fools. I thought somebody might get a kick out of that. So now here's your proof positive. Here's your proof positive, and we're going to move on. What does the eye test tell you? I'll tell you what the eye test tells me. The eye test tells me that this is absolutely true. What's true, Matt? The part about the sickness, the thing being amplified. What was the word? It says, however, certain configurations, like using metal in antennas, can enhance signal reception by improving conductivity and efficiency. Watch this. Here's the other part. What happens? The wind spreads those clouds. That's how they do it. You go out there, they spray one little thin trail. The next thing you see, it's a whole cloud spreading and coming out of it. The wind helps to spread it. So if this stuff is being absorbed, eventually it's going to fall to the earth if it's heavy metal. And if it's absorbing the activation codes, what's going to happen when those metals hit the plants? When those microscopic heavy metals hit the plants, they got those codes that got absorbed in them hitting the plants. Now, here's what my eye test observed. Here's what my observation says. My observation says that, and I don't know, some of y'all may have seen this too. How many of you have observed how much faster your outdoor plants are growing right now? Your outdoor plants, your trees. How many of y'all have observed how much more rapidly they're growing over the past several years than they have in years prior to? I think the whole thing kicked off with that 2017 eclipse, total solar eclipse over North America. But put a thumbs up in the chat if you've noticed that. Those of you that have yards with foliage, trees, bushes, and stuff like that, put a thumbs up in the chat if you've noticed how much faster your plants are growing. Like I can't even keep up with the trimming anymore. You trim it and it's coming right back. It's like sometimes you're having to trim it where I used to have to trim the decorative trees in my yard. When I used to have to just trim them once a year in the winter, once the leaves fell off, I would go out there and prune the trees and trim them down because I knew they're gonna grow back in the spring. Y'all, it's almost like you got to do it twice now because they're growing that much faster. The trees to me are growing taller. It's because of these activation codes that are coming down to the earth. So it's so funny when you try to stop prophecy, and I've said this for years. When you try to stop prophecy, all you do is speed it up. All you do is speed it up. Okay. So for all they're thinking that they could stop these activation codes with all their stupid chemtrails, all they've done is increased the efficiency and reach of those activation codes. So you see how the Most High uses your own weapons against you. That's why he said the weapon might form, but it won't prosper. You know why the weapon won't prosper against you? If you're one of the chosen ones, if you're protected by the divine, by the Most High, the reason why the weapon will form but will not prosper is because you're covered. So when that weapon forms and they shoot it, it prospers against them. This is how it works. This is how it works. You cannot stop the will of the Most High. That's it, y'all. That was the appetizer. That was the appetizer. I hope y'all enjoyed that little snackatizer there. So Tor Girl, you've seen it too. Good. I just wanted to make sure I'm not the only one. So now, y'all, let's move on to the main course. Let's get your plates ready. I hope that whet your appetite. We getting ready to eat now, y'all. Everybody goes to both heaven and hell. Once you learn this truth, everything changes. Okay? Now, we know for starters, this universal truth. The darkness can never defeat the light. That goes without saying, okay? Everybody knows that. You go into a dark room and turn a light on, the light wins. That's just how it works. So, question. If the darkness can never defeat the light, then how does the darkness end up ruling? How does the darkness end up ruling if it could never defeat the light? Anybody want to take a stab at that? Pardon me. How can the darkness end up ruling? Why does the darkness end up ruling if darkness can never defeat the light? How does that happen? I'll give y'all about 15 more seconds because I know there's a delay. How does the darkness end up ruling if it can never defeat the light? All right. No takers. Let me give y'all a few more seconds there. I'm gonna jump right in here, y'all. Y'all, that effect of those, she says, I don't feel like darkness is ruling. They have a place or purpose. You know what? That I never looked at it that way. But you are absolutely right, Tor Girl. You are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. Now, but here's the thing. When you look at the heads of these particular countries and this agenda and this system and everything, like, who's running it, that's the darkness. The darkness is running it, or the workers of darkness, or the prince of this air. That's why I wrote it up like, how does the darkness end up ruling? They're not ruling above the will of the Most High because everything has a time and a season. However, for the season that they rule, there's some mechanics to how they do it. Here's how they do it. That was a great point, Tora Girl. This is why I'm so glad. This is why I love having you here in the chat with everybody else. We have so many smart people in this chat. I love it. The answer is the only hope that the darkness has is that the light is never switched on. Okay? If the dark, I ain't saying the darkness like the dark side, but if the dark wanted to reign in this room I'm in right now because night has fallen, the only way the dark gets to do that is by me not turning on the light. Y'all see how that works? It really is simple. But this plays into what I'm going to be talking about now. This plays into it. Their only hope is that the light is never switched on. So here's another universal truth. Light and darkness are always present at the same time. They're always present at the same time. Yet the light always wins because it is supremely higher frequency energy. Light and dark are always present at the same time. You have to know that. What's that scripture? What's that scripture verse that says, The flesh warreth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, so that that one I can't, I don't remember it from memory, but y'all know what I'm talking about. If y'all know it, put it in the chat. It's the one that says that the flesh lusteth after the spirit, and the spirit warreth against the flesh, or something to that effect. So if y'all know that one, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. That is your proof positive that the light and the darkness are always present at the same time, but the light always wins because it is supremely higher frequency energy. So when you turn the switch off, that frequency of whatever the source of that light is, it drops because there's no juice. There's no juice. So the following will help you to understand how the darkness ends up ruling, and how it in endless time, because time is an illusion. The truth is there's no such thing as time. So time really is endless. Okay. It really is. We put calendars on things and clocks on things to measure and to agree when to meet somebody and all of this, that, the third. But the truth is time is endless. There's no such thing as it. So it's really eternity. Eternity is a better way of saying endless time. So this will help you to understand how the darkness ends up ruling, and how in eternity, in the sands of time or eternity, of which a solar year is a microcosm that helps us to understand and understand eternity. A solar year helps us to understand eternity. Okay. But how in endless time, aka eternity, the darkness does its best to push humanity away from the equator, aka balance and equilibrium. The darkness's role is to push humanity away from the equator. Okay. Let me contrast the balance of daylight and nighttime hours year round at the equator versus the rest of the world. I'm setting this up for y'all. I'm going to show you the contrast of the balance of daylight versus nighttime hours year round at the equator. Watch this. Y'all stay with me. Y'all stay with me. We're moving kind of fast here. Y'all stay with me. Okay. This is beautiful, y'all. Listen, anything you want to see or understand, all you got to do is look at nature, and it will give you a microcosmic understanding of the grander macrocosmos. Okay. The microcosms will always give you an understanding, outstanding, overstanding, and understanding of the macrocosm. You want to understand that thing that's really big? Look at a small replica of it, and then it'll give you an understanding. Now, watch this. Let me put this on the screen. Teaching tonight, y'all. Teaching tonight. Here we go. Yin and yang. That's correct. I saw that. Yin and yang. Now, here was my prompt. Let me make sure this is on the screen. Okay. How many hours of daylight and nighttime, I should have said are there, but is there year round at the equator? Here's the answer. At the equator, there are approximately 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime year round. This balance remains consistent regardless of the season. Okay. So at the equator, there's an equilibrium. Equilibrium equal equator. Okay. Y'all stay with me. Stay with me. So it's balanced. It's balanced. Okay. Now, let me give you another contrast. Let's contrast the temperature fluctuations year round at the equator versus the rest of the world. Let me show y'all another contrast here. Thank y'all for being here tonight. I don't need an image file. Let's see. Share screen. All right. Here's my prompt. What is the average year-round temperature at the equator? The answer? The average year-round temperature at the equator is around 31 degrees Celsius or 88 degrees Fahrenheit. How about that? 8 is a number of eternity, right? Just keeps on going and going and going. The average year-round temperature at the equator is around 88 degrees. Okay. Here's the funny thing about that number 88. That 8 represents infinity. Okay. It represents infinity. If you turn it sideways, you got that twice. When you do that numerological reduction on 88, it's 8 plus 8 is 17. No, 8 plus 8 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 is the seventh house, which is ruled by Libra, which is the balance scales. You see that? Balance equal equilibrium. You cannot make this stuff up. If you want to understand God, if you want to understand the universe, if you want to understand frequency, energy, and vibration, understand numbers, simple numbers. You don't need complex calculus or trigonometry or geometry. No, 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 no. Just simple addition. Simple addition. The average year-round temperature of the equator is around 88 degrees during the afternoon and about 73 degrees around sunrise. This results in a stable daytime temperature throughout the year. There's your swing right there. 73 to 88. Average, on average, okay? Now, let me set the table for y'all. Let me tell you why I said that, okay? So now we saw that at the equator, there's an average temperature of between 73 degrees in the morning to 88 degrees at the height of the day at the equator. And then the number of daylight versus nighttime hours is balanced. 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. Okay. So now we can understand and understand what the real nature of the time change is every single year. Why do they change the time every year? It is a system that was put into place by the agents of imbalance or the workers of iniquity to keep our energy bodies and chakras out of alignment. Okay. When you go back to that example, at the equator, it's a constant 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. We get that when we have the equinoxes. Okay, we're above the equator. So in the summer hours, in that spring, summer half of the year, let me not do that. After the summer solstice, no. Leading up to the summer solstice, from the winter solstice up to the spring equinox, there are more nighttime hours than there are daylight hours. When you hit that spring equinox, you got about 3 days of that balance of 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of nighttime. Once you get past that spring equinox and you head up toward that summer solstice, you start gaining hours and you get more hours of daylight and fewer hours of nighttime. But once you hit that summer solstice, then you get that this is the max number of daylight hours you're going to get. And then it starts to go back down till you hit that fall equinox where you hit that balance again of 12 and 12. And then after that, you got fewer daylight hours and lengthier nighttime hours. Okay. But that keeps everything in balance. So it's balanced at the equator, but guess what? It's balanced throughout the year, over the span of a year, above the equator and below the equator. Okay. So when they're changing these times and everything, what they're trying to do is knock things out of balance. They're agents of imbalance, aka agents or workers of inequity, which the Bible changed the words and called it iniquity. So you wouldn't see that the truth of it was imbalance. When you hear iniquity, you're like, well, what is that? But when you understand that it's inequity, then you're like, wait a minute. The workers of iniquity are workers of inequity. So they work to keep things out of balance, including the chakras in your body. That's why they change the times, because it throws off your energy body. This is why people feel weird after the spring forward, and people just it's to keep you out of balance. As soon as you start catching up, they throw it out. They mess with the clock again. Their job is to keep you out of balance. Okay. Chakras. Now I was going to do a little skit for y'all here and tell y'all about, one of these people I went and seen, down at a yoga studio and whatnot. And y'all know every now and then I'll give y'all a little character, keep folks entertained, things carrying on, things like that. Well, let me explain something to you right now. All right. Now, I ain't know a whole lot about no energy stuff. I mean, I grew up going to church, grew up believing, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I ain't know nothing about no spiritual stuff or nothing like that. Everything I heard about spiritual, man, they said that thing was evil. So I ran from it, man. I just ain't going to lie to you. I ran from that thing. But then I went and heard somebody say something about the chakras, and I looked into that thing, and man, that thing looked right. It looked right to me. It just did. Talk about your energy body and things like that, and folks getting upset and things and body parts and things and doggone dadgummit, your internal organs and things being out of alignment when your chakras are out of balance. So I said, well, man, how do you fix that, man? I don't know how to fix that. I don't want to be walking around here with no backed up or nothing and no chakras out of balance or nothing like that. And man, what they told me was, they said, man, they got these things, they got this music you can listen to, man. It's called chakra music. It'll balance your chakras. And so they said, man, look into it, man. So I looked into that thing, and man, I came across an old music video. They said chakra music. So I looked into that thing, man, and I'll tell you what, man, I found this thing from, man, late 1970s, 1980s, man. It's beautiful. Now, y'all, I don't mean no harm in saying this, but I gotta say the thing like I seen it. All right. I seen this thing called I'm trying to now keep in mind, now I ain't trying to offend nobody. I'm looking for some chakra music now. I'm looking for some chakra music because they said chakra music will balance your chakras. And I'm wanting my chakras balanced, man. I said, man, if everything's getting spiritual, they telling me Jesus was a spiritual teacher, then man, I want to be spiritual. So if you're telling me I need to, girl, I don't know nobody named Jesse. This just the character I do every now and then when I get on the phone with my brother and we want to have fun and things. I mean, I left New York, came down south and learned a few things. So, you know, you run into people talk like this and things like that, but they're nice people. They're really nice people. Okay. She said, how you do it, Bernadette? I know you. I know where you live. You done seen a few people talk like this too. But let me get back to this thing because I got to get on with the lesson. Now, y'all stick with me. Y'all hang in there for just a minute. All right. But give me 1 minute. I'm almost there. I'm like your pastor say in church. I'm almost there. Okay. Believe I heard my daddy say that one time when I was a little boy. I heard him say, wait a minute, I'm almost there. Oh, y'all don't pay me no attention. Don't pay me no attention. I hope daddy ain't watching this. Good Lord. Anyway, so they said to me, get some chakra music. Get you some chakra music to balance your chakras. So I said, well, man, if it'll help me to see my feet over my gut, it by balance. They said, well, what you need for that? They said, well, that gut area is around that sacral chakra. So if you want your gut to go in so you can finally see your feet overneath your gut, then you need to listen to some sacral chakra music. So, man, I said, well, chakra music, I started searching and things, and man, I ran across, I ain't trying to offend nobody, but she was a beautiful black woman, man, and she wore these tight clothes, man, and this red lipstick and things, and had pretty hair, man, and these big, beautiful eyes, man, and she just belting out these notes, man. The music was good. I liked it. I ain't never heard nothing like that before. And, man, they said, well, Randy, I'm just going to say my name's Randy. I don't know nobody named Randy, but I'm just going to say my name's Randy. They said, Randy, did you find you some chakra music? How's that working? Did you work on your sacral chakra? And man, I said, man, I'll tell you what. I don't know, but I found me some chakra music. And there's a woman out there named Chakra Khan. And man, I'll tell you what, I looked at her with that tight clothes on, man, and that red lipstick and them nails and man, that hair and things, man. And man, that thing worked. It did balance my sacral chakra now. It did. I ain't going to lie to you, Bo. That thing balanced my sacral. I've been listening to Chakra Khan ever since. That's the only chakra music I listen to is Chakra Khan. All right. I hope y'all enjoy that. Now, if I'm wrong, y'all pray for me. Y'all pray for me because the show ain't trying to go to hell. Y'all pray for me. All right. I know the title of this video is Everybody Goes to Heaven and Hell. I ain't trying to go to hell. So if I'm wrong for saying I listen to Chakra Khan to balance my sacral chakra and look at her, I don't just listen to her now. I look at her. But if I'm wrong, y'all pray for me because the show ain't trying to go to hell. That's all I got. That's all I got. All right, y'all. All right, y'all. I thought y'all get a little kick out of that. Chakra Khan, I said, no, I can play with that, man. Let's call this Chakra Khan. Y'all know I'm a writer, so I can spin a story off just like that. I spin stories all day. That's what I do. I hope y'all ain't laughing too hard. I hope y'all wasn't drinking nothing when y'all heard that because y'all probably spit some of it out just now. All right. Let's get back on to this lesson, y'all. Let's get back on to this lesson. Y'all ain't gonna never. Next time y'all hit Chakra Khan, y'all gonna remember Randy. All right, y'all. Let's get back on it. So, to get back to my point about the darkness, their job is to keep humanity out of eternal alignment, and they do so by using a very limited capability set of tools. Let me say that again. The job of the darkness is to keep humanity out of eternal alignment, and they do so by using a set of very limited capability tools. Okay, but they've gotten good at using these tools. I'm getting ready to go into them right now. All right, what is the prime? Well, you know what? Let me check the comments because I told y'all I was going to check between segments. So let me check the comments here. All right, let's see, just so I stay on top of this, so I'm not backed up at the end there. All right, let's see, contradicting. So where we picked up. Yeah, right. They can't stop it. She said, I don't feel a dark. I saw that one. Let's see. People aren't awake. The light refuses to shine. Yeah. Wow. That's exactly right. Whoa. What's up? Who's that? Walu Clippy 777. Okay, Walu. All right. I wish I was reading. I could have stopped. I like that. You look, if I was giving away a prize, you would have got it. You nailed it. You nailed it. You getting ready to see the alignment with what you said there as I progress through these notes. Congratulations, Walu Clippy 777. That was dope. You got it. You nailed it. Yin and Yang. He said they talk about climate change destroying us. Is nature just trying to stabilize and reach balance then? Is nature just trying to stabilize and reach balance? It is. It is. It is. Walu, y'all, he hot. Give him the ball, y'all. Or she. I don't know which one it is. My bad if I got the gender wrong. You never know with some of these screen names. But anyway, yeah. To get us out of balance with nature. Yep. Okay, and then the rest of this is y'all laughing at the skits. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. So how do we get there? Okay, let's go, y'all. Let's go. Let's get back on now. So let me move to the next segment. The tools of the darkness, y'all. Y'all need to understand these tools. One of the things when I was in the Army that we did for I forget the little acronym now, but anyway, there was this thing that we were trained to do when you were scouting. And one of the things you wanted to do was you wanted to find out what the enemy's force strength was, how many troops they got, how many of them are there, what are their capabilities, what kind of weapons do they have, what kind of equipment do they have, okay, and what is the general morale of the enemy? Are they high morale? Well, we need to know this because if we're gonna go in and attack them, we got to know if their capability, what are their capabilities, and what is their general morale. If they seem to be happy troops and they got some powerful capabilities, this might be a tough fight, or it might be one we can't win. But if they got these two, but either way, when you find out what their capabilities are, then you know what you need to do to counter them. All right. Any military will do that. When they scout, they are trying to get information. How many of them is it? What kind of weapons do they have? What is their general morale? Okay. Where are they located? How many? What do they have? Are they happy? Are they sad? Do they look energized or do they look tired? Okay. That's some of the things. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out what the tools of the darkness are. Here's their number one primary tool. Illusion. 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 What is illusion? Illusion is showing you sights and sounds that are not real. Illusion. That is the primary tool of the darkness. Illusion. Okay? Now, well, Matthew said primary. There's no such thing as a primary without a secondary, correct? That is absolutely correct. Okay? If I said primary, then obviously there are more layers present. So, the primary tool, illusion, is in effect the factory that the darkness uses to produce its second level of tools. Okay. Illusion is the primary tool, but it's also the factory. It is the factory that manufactures what, Matt? The secondary tools, temptation and distraction. Temptation and distraction. Okay. So now let me discuss how illusion creates the temptation and distractions that are required to keep the light from ever switching on. Okay. To keep the light from ever switching on. Shout out to you, Walu Clippy 777. You're working on getting the MVP award right now. You hot right now. You hot. Discuss how the illusion creates the temptation and distractions that are required to keep the light from ever switching on. Let's get to that. Okay. Illusion. I don't know how many of you have seen it. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you have. But I did a video on my channel some years ago titled How to Defuse Sorcery. How to defuse sorcery. Remember, I told y'all these things. This feels like an end of year recap because this feels like it's tying everything, stuff going back a year, 2, 3 years that I've done before. It's getting tied in right here. Let me take a pause here and bring up my YouTube channel and show you guys that so y'all can write it down. I'm not going to put a link in there because I don't want to lose anybody right now, but I will let me show you guys. Let's see, Matt D. Talford. Let's see. That's not what I want. Oh yeah, let's stay there. To diffuse sorcery. Right here. I'll put it in the middle of the screen. Okay. Now let's share this. Share screen. Recon, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, Commander Cisco. Recon. Right there. How to diffuse sorcery and raise your vibration. Y'all write that title down. Y'all write that title down. I want y'all to go back and watch that later. That's about a 45-minute video. Watch it on your own time. how to diffuse sorcery and raise your vibration. In that, I talked about the very thing that I'm getting ready to go into right now. Okay. So remember, illusion produces their secondary tools, which are distraction and temptation. Okay. So here's what they do. They create something that's not real to tempt you. To tempt you into what? To tempt you into doing something that is typically low vibrational. Okay. That is typically low vibrational. That is what the illusion does. It tempts you into engaging into something that is low vibrational. Temptation. Remember, the scripture says God cannot be tempted, neither will he tempt. You can paraphrase that and say high vibrational energy cannot be tempted, neither does it tempt. Y'all remember the cone? I'm not going to bring it up tonight. Y'all remember the cone? When you enjoy peace, love, enlightenment, those are high vibe. What is the word? Contentment is another word, but neutrality, acceptance. When you're in those higher frequency emotions, you're not interested in tempting anybody, and neither are you going to tempt, or neither can you be tempted. Now, I ain't talking about, if you're a couple or something like that, then if fellas, I'm hoping that your lady tempting you. Okay. I'm hoping that she's doing something to tempt you, after you had a hard day or something like that. I'm hoping that for you. I want that for you. And if you're getting, I love that for you. But that's that's technically not temptation, because that's your lady or whatever. And that's high vibrational. I'm talking about something that you shouldn't be doing, something that you wouldn't be doing if it weren't wrapped in this low vibrational temptation that's leading to a low vibrational emotion, such as desire or envy. Okay. So illusion creates temptation. Temptations are created by illusions. Now, illusions that create the temptations that are created by illusions are typically leading to low vibrational behaviors that's going to lower and weaken your auric field. It's going to lower your vibrations. When you lower your vibrations, you weaken your auric field. What happens when your auric field shrinks? You are now susceptible to disease. You're susceptible. Y'all ever seen a Buddhist monk sick? You ain't never seen a Buddhist monk sick. Why? Because he's so high vibrational. He's content. He's out in nature. He's enlightened. He doesn't want anything. He's not interested in eating any low vibrational foods. Y'all go back and watch that live stream that I did, that last live stream I did that talked about, severing, how to sever soul ties on your own. A lot of them have to deal with parasites. Okay. A lot of them have to deal with parasites, either parasites that you ingested or parasites that you absorbed, fellas, or were injected into you, ladies. I'm not going to get into that right here. Y'all go back and watch that video. Okay. We talked about what those are, what those soul ties are, and how to remove them. Okay. Y'all go back and watch that one. But what I'm talking about is that those illusions lead to those types of temptations. And before you know it, you're stuck. You're out there. Okay. But now, here's the other part. They also do another one, because everybody ain't going to fall to temptation. So to those that are too strong to give into temptation, those illusions create distractions. Keep their minds distracted with this. Keep their minds distracted with that. Keep them distracted with this. Tell them this is coming. Tell them this is what you heard on the news. Tell them that this evil, wicked, stinky, slick Willie G. Well, the truth is, software, and we're getting out of software, and we're getting into philanthropy and doing some really good things with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Okay, we want to get over and help the children in Africa, and we really want to, I'll stick with me. Distractions. Show them this happened, and show them this school shooting happened. Show them this. Distractions. Okay. If the temptation don't get you in lower vibrational frequency, that's what the distraction is designed to do. This goes right back to the desire, which is to keep the light from switching on. We had this other thing in the military. Y'all, I was a medic, but I was assigned to an infantry unit, so I had to go through infantry training all the time. There's this other thing in military operations called suppressive fire. I'm giving y'all a little bit of military education right now. Suppressive fire is not necessarily designed to be lethal. It's only lethal if you're stupid enough to stick your head up. Suppressive fire says the enemy is right there. Let's keep laying fire down on the target so that they can't pop up and shoot at us. That's why it's called suppressive fire. It's designed to suppress you so you can't even look up your head, stick your head up, and get their movements. Now that's old school because they got drones now, which is why it doesn't. It's almost pointless to get involved in combat now. War is. I can see now with the scripture how the prophecy is going to be fulfilled. That says war is going to be a thing of the past. Okay, because at this point you ain't fighting man anymore. You fighting machines. So what good is suppressive fire with suppressing somebody if, okay, your suppressive fire is keeping me from looking, but I can send a drone up in the air and see where that suppressive fire is coming from. But anyway, let's think in old school terms, World War II, Vietnam, pre-drone era. Suppressive fire is designed to make you keep your head down. So A, you can't shoot at me, and B, you can't even see my troop movements and how we getting ready to move in and flank you and either wipe you out or get you to surrender. That is what suppressive fire does. But guess what? That is the same thing that the illusions that the dark side creates does. It creates distractions and temptations that is designed to suppress you so that you don't come into the knowledge of your abilities and what you actually came to this earth to do. Because if you ever switch that light on, the darkness has got to go. Okay? So, with that said, now let's move on to heaven and hell. On to heaven and hell. Because this is what y'all came here to hear, right? How is it, Matt? Okay, Matt, we hear you. That sounds good. But how is it that everybody's been to heaven and hell? Understand, overstand, and understand this first. Heaven and hell are both experienced in the flesh. Heaven and hell are both experienced in the flesh. I've broken this down before in another video I did covering hell. The hell was described in the New Testament as where the flames are not quenched and the worm dieth not. How do you know what burning flesh feels like or worm infestation feels like if you don't have a body? Okay? Heaven and hell are both experienced in the flesh. Okay? They're tied to karma. They're tied to karma. Here's what I mean. I'm explaining karma. Let me explain karma and then tell you what I mean. Karma is what? It is the force that decides which one of those is going to be assigned to you prior to birth. Let me say that again. Karma is the force that decides which one of those experiences are going to be assigned to you once you get your fleshly body prior to your coming into your fleshly body. Karma does that. What is karma? Karma, Saturn, the Akashic records. All of these are one and the same because they're all the same energy. Karma, which is associated with Saturn, which is the teacher of hard lessons, is the universal force that delivers the rewards that are based on your previous actions. And sometimes it's instant. In this season, it's looking like it's instant. So karma, I told y'all about 2 years ago, karma ain't waiting no lifetime on anybody anymore. You do something now, you getting instant rewards or instant correction. Notice I said correction. I didn't say punishment. I said correction. There's a reason for that. I'm going to get to that. So karma is the force that decides whether you spend a lifetime, not an eternity. Let's throw out this false doctrine, this false fear-based doctrine, okay? Karma is the force that decides which one of those you're assigned prior to birth. And it's based on your past actions, okay? How you carried out what you did in your body the last time you were here. Are you going to get heaven on earth or are you going to experience hell on earth? When you see somebody lying in a puddle of urine in an alleyway in a street corner, think about that for a minute. And then you see somebody who's high vibrational that is living this luxurious life. They got a mountaintop resort, whatever, and they're big philanthropists. They ain't out here using money, calling it philanthropy, but sticking things into kids' noses and arms, trying to dodge the algae rhythm, sticking things up kids' noses and arms in remote African villages or remote South American villages, saying that they're trying to make them better. And then they find out the government, their local governments go back later and find out that their kids are sterilized. Okay? That's not the type of living luxury I'm talking about. That's something else. I'm going to get to that later. I'm talking about these people that are these beautiful souls. And you're like, wow, man, this person, man, no wonder they have this beautiful life. They are so high vibration. You go around this person, man, you feel great. That person is experiencing heaven on earth. You don't know what they went through the last time they were here to get that life. Okay? Just like you don't know what that other person went through the last time they were here to get that correction. Now, also consider the example that we had from our last live stream where there was that passage of scripture where the disciple said, what did this man do, or what did his parents do for him to deserve to be born blind? Which I heard another interesting commentary on, y'all, just as a side note, that is yet another piece of evidence that the ancients understood that we die and come back. There was no notion of you live once and then you spend eternity in heaven or hell. They asked the Messiah, they said, what did this man do, or what did his parents do that he should be born blind? Separate the parents part. Let's deal with the man. Why would they ask, what did this man do to be born blind? If he's born blind and they're asking, what did he do? It had to be associated with something he did the last time he was here. Y'all put that in your back pocket. Okay. So heaven and hell, by and large, are both experienced in the flesh. Not by and large, are. Okay. Karma is the force that decides which one is assigned to you prior to birth. Okay. Karma, Akashic Records, Saturn, all the same. Karma, which is associated with Saturn, is a universal force that delivers the rewards that are based on your actions. Akashic Records, for those of y'all that's new to you, never heard of it, it is the library that houses the books of both all possibilities that exist for any and all realities, as well as those that are used to record all of the actions that are taken by all individuals who either choose or are assigned to certain realities. Everybody doesn't have the same reality, okay? There are endless possibilities out there, but those possibilities are built into a framework of whatever your assignment or your course is for life. All right. I'm not going to get too deep into that. Y'all can look up Akashic Records, but that's where all of the universal records are. These are the past, present, and future actions based on certain possibilities. When people say, well, your actions today determine your future, perhaps. Can you change your future? Yes, you can, based on the actions you take today, which is why the future doesn't matter. The past doesn't matter. Only thing that matters is right now. And some of y'all are here to erase past timelines. Somebody did something to screw up in a family lineage. Some of y'all were sent here or volunteered to come here to enact some action that erases the mistakes of the past, okay? And some of these may be mistakes that you and I made. Sometimes we're clearing karma for our ancestors, but what do I always say? You are your ancestors. You are your ancestors, okay? So anyway, let's keep it going. Now, heaven. What is heaven? It is rest and relaxation in high vibrational light realities. High vibrational light realities, okay? Which are experienced in the flesh. Rest and relaxation in high vibrational realities that are experienced in the flesh, okay? Hell. Hell is wrestling and suffering in dark and painful realities. Heaven is rewards based. Hell is suffering while wrestling with the consequences of past actions. Heaven is rewards based. I just talked about that. Hey, you know what? You came, you knocked out everything you were supposed to do. The school year, you get your schedule at the beginning of the school year. You know what your assignments are. You know what your curriculum is. You know what your prerequisites are and your electives. You knock them all out. Guess what? Heaven is you get a summer break where you ain't got to go to summer school. Okay. On top of that, you get promoted to the next grade. Hell in the school sense is, hey, guess what? At the beginning of the year, you got your assignment, you got your curriculum, you got your prerequisites and your electives. You're screwed off. You cut school, you cut class, you hung out, you played hooky, you did everything you weren't supposed to do. You didn't study, didn't do any homework, you crammed at the last minute, you got caught trying to copy off somebody else's paper, you're in a school suspension, blah, blah. End of the school year, you don't pass. They give you an option. They say, hey, you can go to summer school or you can come back here and do it all over again. Neither one is favorable. All your friends out having fun. They fun at the beach. They going fishing. They riding their bicycles. They going to the theme park, the amusement park. Depending on if you're old enough, you got a summer job. You can go and make money, whatever. Dodo over here is in summer school. Or he says, yeah, man, I ain't going to no summer school. Bump that. I'm going to go get me a job too and go have fun too. Guess what? That repeat grade is going to be waiting on you. It's waiting on you at the start of the school year. So now you got to do all of those lessons again with new faces, okay? All those faces you came in with your friends, they're gone. That is a microcosm of the macrocosm. hell. All right, I'm going to get onto this. I'm going to keep going because everybody does both. You're going to see. Heaven is rewards based. Hell is suffering while wrestling with the consequences of past actions. You're wrestling with the consequences of your past actions. Now, the good news is you don't typically remember them. You just end up in these hellish conditions and you're like, how did I get here? Everybody passes through the sea of forgetfulness. I talked about that in the last live stream. Let me keep it moving. Now, if you take, for example, Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26, religious teachers love to teach that those are prophecies that the Israelites had to go through. Deuteronomy 28, captivity, all of this. Y'all know. Deuteronomy 28 and 15 through 60 or 68, all of this stuff. This gonna happen. This gonna happen. This gonna happen. You're gonna be the head. You're gonna be the tail and not the head. You're gonna serve your enemies in fear. Blah 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 blah. And you'll be carried to Egypt again in ships. You'll be carried to bondage again in ships. Okay, and no man shall buy you. Okay, all of that happened. But they love to teach that these are prophecies that the Israelites had to go through. But I continue to present those as conditional prophecies. Those prophecies, which are basically the same, presented slightly different. What am I talking about, Matt? Read Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26. They're pretty much the same thing. They're just presented slightly differently, but they're pretty much the same thing. Okay. Those are what really exists in the universe. They are conditional prophecies and are presented as possibilities. Okay. They're presented as possibilities, which are really what all that exists in the universe. All that exists are possibilities. Possibilities. You choose. Okay. Possibilities now are, people say, oh, there's endless possibilities. Yes, there are, technically speaking, but they go with certain realities. They go with certain assignments. For example, there's, again, using the military. Hey, you know what? There's warships, there's bombers, there are fighter planes, there are attack helicopters, there are medevac helicopters, there are troop carriers, there are tanks, there basic Humvees that transport people back and forth. They're transportation trucks, they're supply trucks, blah, 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 blah. They're soldiers that have pistols. Some have rifles. Some have machine guns. Some use tank destroyers. Some use bazookas, blah, 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 blah. Okay? But guess what? Yes, there are endless weapons possibilities, but what you get is based on what your job is. Okay? If you're a surgeon, if you're a field surgeon, you probably ain't got no M16. You probably got a 45 or a 9mm or something. What is a field surgeon doing with an M60 freaking 7.62 millimeter machine gun? No, your job is to do surgery. So yes, in the Army, there are scalpels and sutures for you to do surgery and sew people up. But that frontline soldier ain't getting no scalpel and sutures. That's not his job. That is what I mean when I say that there are endless possibilities, but they are based on what it is that you came here to do. Okay. Possibilities are limited to the subject matter, but each possibility carries with it a result based on the actions taken. So think in terms of the choose your own adventure books. Okay. Every possibility in those choose your own adventure books, they're based upon the actions that you choose to take. Put a thumbs up or a hand emoji or a book emoji in the chat if you've ever, put a book emoji in the chat. That way I'll know when I come back through the comments. Put a book emoji in the chat if you've ever read one of those choose your own adventure books when you were a child. Okay. So now we're again talking about possibilities. This is the meaning of that teaching by the Messiah where it said straight is the gate and narrow is the path that lead. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me pull it up. That came from Matthew 7:14. Y'all, we getting somewhere. Y'all can tell my pace is picking up. We getting somewhere. All right. Matthew 7:14. Okay. Let me share this to the screen. 7 and 13 through 14. Let's do that. Everybody goes. Y'all gonna see what I mean in just a minute. Matthew 7 and 13 through 14. Enter you in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate. Remember, straight. I did this whole lesson breaking this down. That's a narrow passage of water. Water is spirit. Okay. Water is spirit. Water is also life. That's not straight. STRAIGHT. For those of y'all that did not see that lesson. Okay. And I wish I remembered the title, but I don't. Enter ye in at the straight, narrow passage of water, gate, the gateway to the narrow passage of water. For wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. Wide, broad, possibilities. Possibilities. Wide is the gate and broad is the way. that leadeth to destruction. The number of immense, immeasurable number of possibilities. And many there be which go in thereat. Because straight, narrow passage of water is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. And few there be that find it. In this particular context, narrow is the way which leadeth to success. Okay? You got a bunch of possibilities, but the possibilities that you take in order to succeed are really narrow based on what your mission is that you came to earth to do. Okay? All right? Let me keep it going. I see y'all chiming on in the chat. I can't wait to get over there. So that's the meaning there. That is the meaning of that. Remember, those prophecies, Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, they were conditional prophecies. They were conditional, okay? So the Israelites had an opportunity. He gave them the possibilities. He said, hey, you can go this route or you can go that route. But what the Most High was doing through the prophet Moses, was saying that, hey, listen, I'm laying before you the possibilities, okay? In the realm of the divine. This is why I told y'all, man, go and watch that video I did titled Spirit Guides. Let me pull that up real quick on my channel because y'all need to write this down too. I did this one years ago. Let's see, Matt D. Talford, Spirit Guides. Let's do this real quick. I want y'all to write this down. I know I'm throwing a lot at y'all, so y'all got some homework this weekend if you choose to, and if you choose to undertake it. Okay, right here. That's not what I want. Come on, Matthew. All right, so let me switch over. I want y'all to see this so you can write it down. Right here, write this one down. What are spirit guides and why is it so important to follow their advice? Spirituality basics. Okay, I did this one 3 years ago. Let me see what that date was on that. April 21st, 2022. Okay. All right. Let's stop sharing that. Okay, so y'all write that down. What are spirit guides and why is it so important to follow their advice? What are spirit guides and why is it so important to follow their advice? Let me put that in the chat really quick. Okay, y'all look that up in your spare time, okay? All right, now let me keep it moving. So, in stark contrast to what the religious and educational establishments teach, and keep in mind, for the most part, they're one and the same. They're one and the same. Okay, same with the government and religious establishments. They're one and the same. That's a story for another day, though. When you know, you know. Let me keep it moving. In stark contrast to what the religious and educational establishment teach us, suffering is ultimately not punishment. Let me say that again. In stark contrast to what the religious and educational and even government establishments teach us, suffering is ultimately not punishment. What it is learning that is designed to bring you back into alignment, balance, alignment. Suffering is learning that is designed to bring you as a soul, as an energy body, back into alignment. And that can either be back into alignment with light or alignment with the darkness. Ooh, Matt, what are you talking about? What are you talking about, Matt? What do you mean suffering? What do you mean that suffering is learning that's designed to bring us back into alignment, either alignment with the light or alignment with the darkness? That don't make sense, Matt. You're talking about the light here. How does suffering bring one back into alignment with the darkness? Watch this. Remember, there both exists agents of the light and agents of darkness. Y'all know that, okay? Now, agents of the light feel as though they are suffering in the presence of a bunch of low vibrational people or environments. Some of y'all watching this right now. Don't y'all hate when you have to go and be around a bunch of low vibrational people? Because I know I got the overwhelming majority of y'all in these chats and that watch this channel are high vibrational because you attract at the level you vibrate at. And your boy, I'm high vibrational. I ain't bragging to say that. I know me. Okay. Now, if we need to go there and get low vibration, I can get there with you. But I don't want to do that. I don't even like to do it. Okay. But what I'm saying is, those of y'all watching this channel right now who are high vibrational, you cannot stand being around a bunch of low vibrational people. Y'all on different frequencies. Okay. Well, guess what? Agents of the darkness feel the same way. they feel that they are suffering in the presence of at least one. They're suffering in the presence of one or more high vibrational people or environments. This is why a lot of y'all on y'all jobs, y'all walk in the room and people stop talking. They stop talking when y'all walk in the room. Oh, they was just talking. Why did they get quiet now? They're low vibrational. You are one light. You come into that room full of a bunch of low vibrational people, and the first thing they do is they stop talking. And they either look at each other or they all look at you. Oh, what was y'all talking about in here? Oh, no, no, we wasn't talking about nothing. He just, hey, did you see the game on Thursday night, man? You saw that, man? Man, he threw that touchdown, didn't he? Mm-hmm. Y'all must think I'm stupid. Ladies, y'all too? Y'all know, y'all seen it. Y'all seen it. Agents of the darkness feel like they're suffering in the presence of one or more high vibrational people. That's why certain individuals try to bring y'all down. Y'all remember I talked about energy vampires the last live stream. They really can't stand your light. So what they try to do, they try to humiliate you and bring you down because your light hurts them. Your light hurts their eyes. Okay. So in both cases above, that suffering becomes the force of change that brings the individual back into alignment with their true nature. An agent of the darkness that's suffering in the presence of a light being. Now, I ain't talking about a person of the light who slipped and fell into underneath the darkness. Your light showing up reminds them of who they are, and it also shines a light on all the darkness around them, and they remember who they are, and they come back into their light. But agents of the darkness, the suffering that they do around you brings them back into their lower alignment. Man, I don't never want to go around that person again, man. Man, they messing up my luck, man. They messing up my luck. I got some guys I used to run with years ago. I ain't saying no names. I got guys I used to run with years ago. When we would go out of town on business, when we leave the sites and get back to the hotel and everybody planning on what they're going to do. Hey, man, yeah, we're going to go dinner here, and then we're going to go over to this spot over here. And I would tell them, I'd say, man, look, I'm going to go to dinner with y'all, but y'all go have y'all fun at the other place. Oh, man, come on with us. I said, nope. I said, listen, man, I got angels around me that's not going to allow me to engage in certain things. So if y'all really want to have fun, I can't go with y'all. Y'all go ahead, man. I'm cool. I'm going to go back to the hotel. I'm going to look at my tablet, whatever, maybe pull up a movie or something on there, whatever. Just chill, go to sleep, get ready for work tomorrow. Y'all go ahead, man. Because I promise you, if I come with y'all not going to have the same kind of fun y'all going to have if I come out with y'all. And lo and behold, it was that way. So it was. So that's kind of how that worked. And I ain't saying that I haven't done some other things with them, but even when I did go with them, they still didn't have it. The report still didn't come out being like it was when I wasn't there. So I said, if y'all really want to have the type of fun y'all want to have, I can't go with y'all. And there was. But I just use that for an example. So in both cases above, that suffering becomes the force of change that brings them back into alignment with their true nature. Hence the reason why the demons requested to go into the herd of swine. The story from the Bible, remember? Remember the Messiah going through the tombs. Here he is. Okay. The appearance of a powerful carrier of the light disrupted the balance of those demons inside of that man that called, his name was Legion. Or he said, what's your name? They said Legion, for we are many. Okay. Their balance and equilibrium could only be restored by leaving the presence of the Messiah and entering into the low vibrational swine. Now, what happened with that? Those swine felt like death was better than having. That's bad when something as low vibrational as a pig or some hogs. Now, these were cultured hogs, as I understand the story, because the people in that town were running a swine business when in the land of Judah, where they weren't supposed to be even eating or selling swine, but they were running a swine business. So I tell y'all all the time, the Most High wraps up multiple outcomes in single events. Okay, they weren't even supposed to be having it. So ultimately, the Messiah had to go through that for that herd of swine to be destroyed. It's so funny how God works, right? So anyway, these low vibrational pigs, because they eat slop, they eat anything. They felt like death was a better option than having those low vibrational energies inside of them. Okay, so what did they do? They ran and jumped off the cliff. All right, they ran and jumped off the cliff, and that's a mystery in and of itself. How God works. Here's this man. He is trying to get to another town. This is how you know when you're sent. And I think I wrote this down in my notes before, so if I'm a little redundant, I will be, but let me keep it moving. Here's this man that carried all of this light, okay? He's trying to get from one town to the next, And he's like, if I go around this way, it's going to take me longer. So I'm going to take the shortcut and go through the cemetery. And the people are like, man, you better not go through there, man. It's a crazy man in there, man. He be cutting himself. He got chains on him. Man, everybody's scared of that man. He might kill you. Don't go in there. Do not go in there. He's like, man, I ain't worried about that, man. I'm taking this shortcut. What y'all talking about? Bump what y'all talking about. I'm taking this shortcut. I ain't got all day to be getting nowhere. What I look like, scared of something, man? Do you know who I am, player? I'm the Juggernaut, B. No, I'm just kidding. For those of y'all that remember that cartoon, I'm the Juggernaut, B. Do you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut. He's like, look, I'm going through that tomb. So he goes through the tombs. And they see him. They're like, oh, man. He ain't even a half a football field away. And they're like, no, man, no. What, you came here to torment us before our time? He's like, look. They're like, listen. He's like, look, man, I just showed her. I ain't even touch. I ain't nowhere near you. His light was so bright. That high frequency. Like them high-pitched sounds some of y'all hearing them higher frequencies. Okay? So what happened was they went into that herd of swine and went and ran off the cliff. They're like, look. I'm coming back to that because I know I got this in the notes. Now, the mystery of that whole scenario is revealed to you right now. That's it. I got long with it. Let me come back. The mystery of that whole scenario of him walking through the tombs, I'm going to reveal it to you. I'm going to drop it for you right now. Check it out. Remember what I said about certain energies being alchemists. That's it. Remember what I said about certain energies being alchemists and having high vibrational capabilities of transmuting dark energy and turning it into light. I talk about that all the time, especially when I'm doing my astrology videos. I talk to y'all about the power of Scorpio energy and why the enemy attacks Scorpio so hard. Why it looks like Scorpio sometimes has the hardest way to go. Why? Because the enemy recognizes that is an energy, that is a soul that carries alchemy. They carry sacred alchemy. They have the ability to transmute something and turn it from one form to another. They have the ability within them, if they are high vibrational, to go into dark places and turn that darkness into light. So what does the enemy do? He attacks them to try to reverse that polarity and get them to turn light into darkness. Two dark alchemists, two dark Scorpio alchemists that come to mind, Bill Gates and P. Diddy. Take light and turn it into darkness. They're alchemists. Scorpio is alchemy energy. They're alchemists. Okay? So here's the mystery. The Messiah himself was an alchemist. Remember, he turned water into wine, which is another example of his powers of alchemy. So, what did he also say? He said, I came here to fulfill the will of my Father in heaven, right? Didn't he say something to that effect? Well, when he showed up at the tombs, my guess is that the land had been crying out for a long time. I told y'all land is alive. Land is a feminine energy. Earth is a feminine element. So land is a feminine energy and it is alive. My guess is that the land had been crying out for a long time in and of its, because, what I said. The land that has been crying out, it had been crying out for a long time. Why? Because land is high vibrational in and of itself. It's high vibrational because it's one of those 5 elements. What are the 5 elements? Earth, water, air, fire, and ether. Okay? That land perhaps had been crying out because its equilibrium, balance, equity, its equilibrium was upset by having inhabitants occupying it. Y'all stay with me, because this ain't just this one example. This is just a microcosm. Y'all stay with me. That land perhaps had been crying out because its equilibrium was upset by having inhabitants occupying it that were of a low frequency. So the universe answered by having the Messiah appear, who, in his fearless mind, simply chose to take a shortcut in his passage to another location, another township, another village. His light disturbed the demons, but the real truth is that the light was ready to transmute that dark energy. I'm talking about the source that sent him into the world. The light was ready to transmit that dark energy that was occupying that little bit of land where the tombs were, that cemetery. The light was ready to transmute that dark energy. So that dark energy did not want to be transmuted. Dark energy never wants to be transmuted. So it attempted to hide itself in a low vibrational herd of swine, but its frequency was lower than that of the swine. How about that? So they all ran off the cliff because to them, death was a better option than being possessed. They were no longer in the man. The man's clean now. He's not possessed anymore. Those demons went into the swine, the herd of swine. They were like, nah, man, death is better than having that up in here. No, hell no. Hell no. No, no, no. So their death gave the dark energy no place to go. See, they wanted to keep living in a host. Remember, spirits need hosts. Those dark entities went into the herd of swine. The swine said, nah, we ain't doing this. They went and dove off that high cliff and all killed themselves. So their death gave the dark energy no place else to go. So it had to be alchemized and returned back to the light. How about that? It left the man, went into the herd of swine. The swine jumped off a high cliff into a body of water. Water cleanses. Water also alchemizes. How about that? For those of y'all out there taking on spiritual baths, you understand this. You understand this. So ultimately, the will of the Most High was still done. The light always wins. The death of that herd of swine caused that low vibrational energy, those entities, to have no place else to go but to be alchemized. The darkness turned back into light and returned back to source. Look at that. The light always wins. The light always wins. Now that I took y'all all the way around the block to get you to the house next door, let's get back to what suffering really is. Okay? All right? Suffer. Let me show y'all something else. Y'all take notes. Let me show y'all something else. Suffer. I want y'all to see this. Okay? Right here. I want y'all to write this one down. Suffer. Because I'm referencing it now, but I want y'all to have it as a point of reference for later because I did a whole video on this. Y'all see this right here? Ancient Hebrew, how the real meaning of book was lost in Spain. And in the subtitle are Sephar and Suffer the same. Suffer. Y'all write that down. Let me see if I can copy and paste that. Hang on. I'm not gonna put the link in there because I don't want to lose y'all, all right? Y'all can go back and watch this later. Just write this down. Okay, let's go back. And let's stop this. And go here. Okay. All right. That's another one for y'all. All right. Now, so suffer is a modern version of the ancient Hebrew word Sephar, Cephar. Remember, I told y'all you gotta get out of English sometimes because English is also known as the language of spells. The way the vowel placements are with English and the way they rearrange words, that whole thing is really sorcery. It's designed to show you an illusion to make you think that a word has a different meaning when if you pay attention to the vibration, the sound vibration, you begin to see similarities. Okay. Iniquity and equity. I use that one all the time. Okay. Right here. If you remove the vowels, this is how you know when you remove the vowels from a word and you say it without the vowels, it's the same word. Same with these two words. Okay. Remove the vowels. Now, in that second word there, that last T is really pronounced with an H. Okay. When you remove the vowels, the words are the same. Torah, tarot are the same words if you take the vowels out. Tuda, 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 and tuda. But when you put these vowels in, tarot, Torah. Same with suffer. Suffer, S-U-F-F-E-R, and Sephar, C-E-P-H-A-R. Remove the vowels. Sifr. Same word. All right. So suffer is a modern version of the ancient Hebrew word Sephar, which means book. What is a book? A book is a tool that is used for one of two things. You use books for A, learning, or B, experiencing. How do you experience in a book, Matt? You read a story. When you are reading a story, you are experiencing a reality. When you're reading a story, you are experiencing a reality. I don't care if it is my book From Fear to Faith, a Survivor Story. That's my reality. When you read that book, people have told me Man, I felt like I was in that hospital room with you. You are experiencing a reality, but it still comes back to learning, because in the course of you experiencing that reality that you are learning by reading that safar, that book, you're learning. You may be learning what to do and what not to do in certain scenarios based on an experience that you had reading a reality, or the experiencing a reality that you yourself did not live. So suffer is a modern version of the ancient word safar, which means book. What do you use a book for? To learn or to experience. The word cipher, let me put that in here. The word cipher is also a zero. It's a zero. Cipher, when you look that up, it's a zero. What do we know about the peculiar number zero? Zero. Let me pull that up. Let me pull up that dictionary. Hold up. No, I don't want to do it yet. I don't want to do it yet. Y'all can look that up. Cipher. You know what? Let me do it. Let me do it. Let me do it. I know y'all know this definition, but let's do it anyway. Okay, let's bring this up. Okay, go to that second definition there. Cipher is a zero, a figure zero. Okay, that's another another meaning of the word cipher. Now you can also use that a secret or disguised way of writing a code, cipher, safar. Okay, secret or disguised way of writing. All of these play together, but we're gonna deal with that second definition there, zero. Okay, let me stop sharing. So let's go back to that because I had that one on there before. Now, so zero, what is zero? The word cipher is also a zero. What do we know about the peculiar number zero, which is a very peculiar number? I talk about it a lot on here. Number one, zero is an eternal numeric or frequency reflector. Zero is an eternal numeric reflector or frequency reflector. In the mathematical operation of addition, when zero is added to any number, the original number remains. 9 plus 0 is 9. 1 plus 0 is 1. 300 plus 0 is 300. Okay? When you add 0 to any number in a mathematical equation of addition, the original number remains. Therefore, 0 is a reflector. 0 shows you who you are. God shows you who you are. Let me keep going. 0 is also an amplifier. When you add one or more zeros to the back of a number, when you write them, like not doing plus, but you tack a zero, one or more. If you tack one or more zeros onto the back of any number, it increases the frequency. Therefore, 0 is a reflection of the Most High, Source, the divine, the creator, the universe. How so? Because not only is it a reflector if you do a plus 0, but it is also an amplifier, because the more zeros you add to the back of a number, how many of you who, let's say, for example, you earn $1,000 a week. I know that's lowball. That's a lowball figure for today's economy. But let's just say, for example, you make $1,000 a week. How many of you would not want to add an additional 3 zeros behind that? That would make your life a lot better, wouldn't it? That's what I'm saying. It's an amplifier and also a reflector. So 0, like the universe, has no start or finish. And yet it is both the beginning and the end. What do you mean, Matt? If you place a pencil or a pen at any point on a 0 and trace it around, what you'll find is that the arrival at the origin represents both the beginning and the end of your journey around the circle, for which the end is just a new beginning. All that spells a corresponding 8-letter word: eternity. 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 All of that spells a corresponding 8-letter word. That word is eternity. And now we know why the symbol for the word eternity is a sideways number 8. Eternity is an 8-letter word. Okay. The infinity symbol is a sideways number 8. And what is a sideways number 8? It is nothing more than a 0 that has been twisted. See that? That 8 is a 0 that's been twisted. How about that? If you take I don't have a rubber band in here, but y'all get it. Y'all get it. If you take a rubber band and twist it, you got an 8 or an infinity symbol. Isn't that funny how that works? Okay. So an 8 is simply a 0 that's been twisted such that it flips or mirrors at the center, the line that divides masculine and feminine, light and dark, north and south, east and west, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. So for all of those folks out there that have that fancy Bible that's labeled the Sefer, it's simply a different version of any other Bible, and the word itself, book, which is something that we use to both learn and experience realities that we as souls may or may not have existed in. Some of y'all could have been in some of those biblical stories and you don't even know it. Okay? And some of y'all feel like you have. Some of those stories ring familiar to some of y'all. I know they do. And now you know what the term Sephardic means. Suffer, Sephardic. Suffer, Sephardic. I'm taking y'all down the side road, okay? Y'all know what Matt does. I take you all the way around the block to get you to the house next door. We're doing that. We're taking one of those trips. Now you know what the term Sephardic means. It is a derivative of Sepharad, which is Spain. Sepharad is the land of Spain that we know today as Spain, which is a derivative of Sepharim, which is a plural form of the word that represents book, Sephar, Sepharim. Okay? And we also know that the Hebrew suffixes ym, I am, or yim are all used to denote people. So this is why you hear the term people of the book. The Sepharim are people of the book. Sepharad would be what? The land where the people of the book live. So Spain or Sepharad, and we see that in the book of Obadiah. That's the only place in the Bible I've seen the word. In the standard 66 books, the only place you'll see Sepharad is in the book of Obadiah. Let me pull that up to make sure I know what I'm talking about. Let's make sure I know what I'm talking about. Let me not use that one. Let's use KJVA. A little bit easier. Okay. Okay. Obadiah 1 and 20. Obadiah 1 and 20. All right. Or Obadiah verse 20 is another way to say that. We getting somewhere, y'all. We getting somewhere. Watch this. Obadiah 1 and 20, right here. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad. The captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south. The captivity of the children of Jerusalem. All right. When that first during that first temple period where it got sacked, they sent a bunch of the captives of Jerusalem to what is modern day Spain. In the second temple period, when it got sacked again after 770 AD, what did the Romans do? They sent a bunch of the captivity of Jerusalem to Sepharad. All right. I hope y'all are learning something tonight. I hope y'all are learning something because I know I did with this download. So Spain or Sepharad is where the Sephardim were housed. Now, let me keep going there. Spain housed scores of the scattered tribes of Yasharal, but not only that, Spain was also known for its massive libraries and massive collections of books and ancient scrolls, many of which were burned during the Reconquista or the Reconquista, which is in English means reconquest. Spain housed scores of books, y'all, scores of scrolls, scores of ancient writings were housed in these massive libraries in Spain, aka Sepharad. Okay? And a lot of those got burned At the Alhambra was one of them. They burned a lot of books. They did a massive book burning when the Reconquest happened in 1492. Now, y'all tell me why 1492 was called the Reconquest. It wasn't called the Conquest. It was called the Reconquest. Let me see who knows the history. Why was 1492 called the Reconquista or the Reconquest? Why? Let me pop over here, see if somebody got it in there. Okay, let me keep moving. Let me keep moving for time's sake. Let me keep moving. Okay? Once you understand and understand what happened in the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD, what happened? The Sepharad who lived in the Iberian Peninsula were under the rule of the Christian Visigoths and undoubtedly suffering under them. Suffering, there's that word again, which is by some degree captured by the Netflix series Vikings Valhalla. All right, Vikings Valhalla. If y'all have seen Vikings Valhalla on Netflix, just put a double V in the chat. That way, when I come back through the messages, I'll know what that means. If y'all have seen that series on Netflix called Vikings Valhalla, put VV in the chat. That way, I'll know. Okay. Some of this is captured in that series. I knew exactly what I was looking at the first time I watched Vikings Valhalla. I was like, oh, so that's what it looked like. Okay. I don't want to play spoiler, but I'll give you an idea. There were Vikings that came over to the British Isles to rescue their brethren and sisterin who were being assailed by Christian warriors, Christian knights. And they were looking for people who were practicing the old faith and killing them or forcing them to convert. Vikings Valhalla. Y'all check that out. Okay? Once you understand and understand what happened in the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD, the Sepharad who lived in the Iberian Peninsula were under the rule of the Christian Visigoths and undoubtedly suffering, which is by some degree captured by the Netflix series Viking Valhalla. You can make sense of why Christopher Columbus was sent to the Americas to find the ancient Israelites. Because ain't nobody buying that looking for a spice route to the west, a seagoing spice route, when the spices were in the east of India over a 3,000-year-old spice route. Why would you go to the west in the ship in some uncharted waters? Uncharted, okay? Now you know why Christopher Columbus came to America, why he had a Hebrew-speaking Negro on that maiden voyage to serve as a translator. Why do you need an old tongue speaking? I'm talking about the ancient tongue. Why do you need an ancient tongue speaking, Hebrew speaking Negro on your voyage unless you're expecting to run into those people? Okay? My guess is that they did not want to have a future repeat of 711 AD, because 711 AD, what happened? 711 AD was when was the conquering of the Iberian Peninsula to liberate Abraham's seed, the Sepharad, from the brutality of the Christian Visigoths. Remember, throughout history, remember that though history rebranded them the Moors, the men who invaded the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD were a collective of Abraham's seed, both through the lineages of Ishmael and his nephew, Jacob, aka Israel. Those were the Moors that invaded the Iberian Peninsula in 711 AD. Maybe when you watch Vikings Valhalla, you get an idea of why they went there. Man, they slaughtering them. It was the Visigoths, okay? Oh, they don't want to bend the knee? They don't want to bend the knee to Christianity? Let's slaughter them. Let's make an example of them. Word got out. They came from across the Strait of Gibraltar and said, yo, man, we can't let them get slaughtered. Same story in Vikings Valhalla. Y'all check it out, man. Beautiful. Once you start putting this stuff together with history, it's mind-blowing. But these are the cosmic codes they've been trying to block out. Talking about blocking out the sun to cool down the Earth's surface. Look like them downloads still getting through. The Israelites and the Ishmaelites who jointly conquered the Iberian Peninsula, okay, thus freeing their brethren from the brutal Christian rule, did so by coming from across the water. Now, what is the best way to prevent that happening again? You go and cross the water and find them before they find you and repeat history. And then you either convert them or kill them, which was the same playbook that they ran on their brothers and sisters of Sepharad, aka the Sephardim. And now you know. So I took you all the way around the block to get you back to the house next door. So now let's bring this back to how everybody experiences both heaven and hell. Not everyone experiencing hell is suffering or learning. Let me say that again. Remember, the title is Everybody Goes to Heaven and Hell. What are they? They are experienced in the flesh. Now, point number one here is not everyone experiencing hell is suffering, aka learning some karmic lesson to bring them back into alignment. Some were sent here or chose to come here to be the agents of rebalancing. Okay? Some were sent here. Some of the people weren't sent here to learn a karmic lesson. Some came to hell to be agents of rebalancing. All right? Let me explain something. Light or high-powered batteries can serve to recharge or reactivate dead cells. Light energy can reactivate dead batteries, dead cells. Okay? Some of these light energies also come to shake up and wake up the heart that was no longer beating. I'm going to say that again. Some of them come to shake up and wake up the heart that was no longer beating. What do you mean, Matt? I'm about to show you. Do y'all know how defibrillators really work? Do y'all know how they really work? Y'all ever seen the TV shows, ER and stuff like that, or these different 911 shows and stuff where they got the people who jump out of the back of the ambulance or whatever, or they get them in a hospital and they're like, they hook the cardiac leads up to them and you see the beep. Do y'all know how those defibrillators work? Somebody tell me what they do. Somebody tell me what they do with those defibrillators. Somebody tell me how those defibrillators work. I want to see who knows how they work. Now, I worked in the ER, so I know how they work. I worked in the ER for 4 years, so I know how they work. Okay, they send an electric shot to your heart. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Do you know why they send that electric? They trace the electrons in your body. Not what I was looking for. Let me go ahead and give y'all. I don't want to hold y'all. Let me explain to you how they really work, okay? Because what they show you on television is a myth. They don't charge those paddles and then hit somebody in the chest who's flatline. They don't do that. When they show you that, that's dramatization for Hollywood. Okay, I worked in the emergency room for 4 years. When somebody comes in there flatlined, you start chest compressions. Chest compressions. You don't put the paddles on them. You do chest compressions. Some of y'all have seen the movies where they take their fist and punch them in the chest. They punch them and they thump them really hard right on their sternum. You know what they're doing? They're using that muscle to inversely try to activate the electricity in their heart. Okay? They say by artificially or manually pumping the heart, maybe we can stimulate and get some sort of an electrical current. It's called a defibrillator, not a deflatliner. Now, let me show you what this definition of fibrillate is. I want y'all to learn tonight, man. This is why I come here to do this, and I love y'all for it. I love y'all for showing up. When y'all show up, I got to do what I do. I got to do what I do when y'all show up. All right, let me show you this. They call it a defibrillator. Watch this. Fibrillate, verb, of a muscle, especially in the heart. Make a quivering movement due to uncoordinated. I'm sorry. Is that uncoordinated? Yes, I don't have my readers on. Make a quivering movement due to uncoordinated contraction of the individual fibrils. The atria ceased to fibrillate when the temperature was reduced. Okay? All right? Let's close that down. Let's close that down now. Okay? Yeah. Okay. She said we need notebooks at this point. or recorders. Or go back and watch the video later. Okay, so a defibrillator does what? It takes that heart. When you hook that machine up to him, if it's flatlined, you start doing chest compressions or thumping that heart with the hopes that you can get it to quiver. Once you got that, you know that there is an electrical signal in there, and then they do the charge. clear, boom, and they come up like that, okay? Sometimes it don't come right back. Sometimes it's still quivering. They hit him again. They hit him again, okay? Eventually, what the doctor is looking for is he's looking to see if that thing will stop quivering and give him back into a rhythm. Back into a rhythm. What's called a normal sinus rhythm, okay? So that is what that purpose of that defibrillator is for. Now, so now that you know the whole thing of, check this out. Remember I just said a high-powered light can shake up and wake up the heart that was no longer beating. So now you know that the whole thing of, quote unquote, this thing that they taught us, this legend, I'm gonna call it that because that's what it is. This legend, this false doctrine of Jesus going into hell to preach to the lost souls was actually not an actual thing. It was symbolic. Okay, what they tell us? What they tell us in church? You know, Jesus. Well, you know, every Easter we'd hear this. Every Easter, Jesus went down into hell on them 2.5 days. On that first day, he went up to heaven and to paradise, and he met with the guy he promised. He said, when he said, "Today I'll see you in paradise," on the cross. On day one, he went to paradise and he welcomed him in. And then day two, what did he do? He went down into the pit of hell and preached to the lost souls that had never gotten the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we believed it. We believed it. We believed that. And then he rose up and he took the keys from the devil. He snatched the keys to hell and death from the devil, and he got up with all power in his hand. Say amen. Okay? That wasn't an actual thing. We know what he did, okay? We know what he did. Jesus didn't go to hell to preach to lost souls. He came to hell to reawaken sleeping souls. Or he came to hell to preach to the lost souls here. Souls that have lost sight of what they came here to do. Souls that lost sight of the light within them. They lost sight of the light within them. They didn't remember who they were. At the time that he showed up, the children of Israel, the children of Judah, well, the children of Judah, because the children of Israel were scattered at that point, but the children of Judah were Hellenized. They were acting like the Greeks and the Romans. They were Hellenized and romanticized. They looked like everything but the chosen, set apart children of the Most High that had something different that they were doing. They were worshiping Greek gods and Roman gods. So he came to hell to reawaken and reactivate the lights within the lost souls to remind them of who they were. His light shined and exposed the darkness of the religious establishment. That's why they didn't want him in there. Let me show it to you. Let's bring up Matthew chapter 15, verses 21 through 24. Let me see. What did I say that was? 15 and 21 through 24. Matthew 15. He went to hell to preach to the lost souls. No, he came to hell to preach to the lost souls. Matthew 15 and 21. Let me bring it up on the screen. I told y'all, man, this download was almost too much for me. Matthew 15 and 21 through 24. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she crieth after us. She get her out of here, man. What she want with us? But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Let me read that again. He answered this woman that wanted him to use his powers, his alchemy. I'm sure he probably had some Scorpio placements. I'm sure he did. Or he was a life path 8. Who knows? We don't know what his real date of birth was or time of birth. Could have been a Scorpio moon, sun, rising. Okay. Could have been a freaking Mars, something, whatever, Jupiter. We don't know. She said, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. I heard about the alchemy that you do. Can you alchemize her and drive this spirit out of here? Can you rebalance her energy body? Can you raise her vibrational frequency? But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. But what did he tell her? He said, I ain't come here for you. I am sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Lost sheep of the house of Israel. Y'all make the connection. Y'all make the connection. Y'all make the connection. Make the connection. Okay? So he didn't go to hell to preach the lost souls. He came to hell to reawaken certain lost souls. All right? Now, that above passage of scripture that I just read, that Matthew 15 and 21 through 24, where he said, I am come but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. He didn't come in the world for the whole world, regardless of the false doctrine that is taught. And I know that rubs people the wrong way, but all you can do is look at the history, okay? Now, however, that passage of scripture, where especially verse 24, where he says, I am come but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, validates how other cultures have their own versions of Christ or Christed ones. See, people, they want to hear the church got you thinking, well, there was only one Christ, okay? No, there were other cultures that had their Christed ones. For example, in Hinduism, they have Krishna, okay? Krishna, okay? Krishna and Jesus Christ, Yeshua, okay, they were Christed. Now, check this out. I just told y'all about these sound frequencies and how English will throw you a curveball. Krishna and Christ. You see the similarity in the sound vibration? Take that CH in Christ and turn it into a K, because it is a K sound. They don't say Christ, they say Christ. So drop that CH and make it a K. Now what do you have? You have the same first four letters. K-R-I-S, Christ. Instead of Christ, you got Christ, C-R-I-S, drop the T, Chris, and then drop the H-N-A from Krishna, and you got the same vibration. It's the same numeric frequency. It's the same frequency. So stop demonizing people that say, over here in India, they worship Krishna. They worship in a false god. No, that was their version of the Hebrews' Yeshua. How do we know? He said, I ain't come here for y'all. I just came here for these lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go find your own Christ. Go find your own Christed one. There's others that got these gifts. When I was a boy, I studied in the mystery schools in Egypt. I left Egypt and went to some of these different places in India and in the East. Y'all go look at that documentary, Jesus in India. This is the stuff the church didn't want you to know. But they'll let you sit here and keep running with the same narrative of he jumped from age 12 to age 30. What happened to the other 18 years? What was he doing? Man, y'all better wake up, man. So, defibrillators don't function as reanimators. They don't, from now, y'all will never be the same after this. When you see a show where somebody's flatlined and they putting paddles on somebody's flatlined, you can now call cap and be right in doing so. You can call cap on that, man. They ain't how they bring people back to life. No, you got to do chest compressions or heart thumps to try to make that heart start producing an electrical signal on its own. Some people use epi. They'll use a drug. They'll shoot the drug in the heart or whatever. They try to stimulate some sort of chemical reaction that will cause that electricity to start firing again. If it's quivering, then they use the paddles to get it to go instead of this right here. I've seen it. I lived it for 4 years. They don't use defibrillators. They don't function as reanimators. They're designed to use electric shock to get a heart out of a state of fibrillation and back into a normal electrical current. Okay? Whereby the up wave is an upbeat and the down wave is a downbeat. Dum, 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 dum. The up wave is an upbeat. The down wave is a downbeat. Now, through that example, can you see how music exists all throughout nature? Music is in everything. Sound. In the beginning was the word, sound. And the word was with God. Sound was with God. And sound was God. Vibration, sound, energy, frequency, vibration. Now, this idea that some souls who choose to go through hell are here to awaken lost souls, aka souls that have lost sight of their purpose or mission, supports the parable of the wheat and tares. Some souls choose to go through hell or choose to come to hell to awaken lost souls that have lost sight of their purpose or mission. Some of y'all come to rescue whole family lineages. This is why I tell people, look at your Pluto placement in your natal chart. I don't like to say stuff on here sometimes, y'all, because I don't want people to look at me like I'm bragging. But all I can do is tell the truth. If I ain't seen nobody else do it, I ain't seen nobody else do it. That was something that was revealed to me when I started reading natal charts on what the real purpose of the Pluto placement is. Pluto placement is your Pluto sign and house, mainly the house, but the sign is the energy, okay? The house is the area of life. Your Pluto house, sign and house, is tied to what generational patterns did you come here to destroy and rebuild? If you are male, then what in your male lineage did you come here to correct? If you're a female, what in your female lineage did you come here to, what patterns did you come here to break and do over or do better or set right? But they told you reading a birth chart was evil. So you're flying blind, you're flying in the dark, not knowing what you came here to do. Well, I just came here to be a good person so I can die and go to heaven. You came here to safar. Heaven and hell are both right here. Both are right here. What is your reality? What is your experience? What did you come here to experience? Some choose, let me keep going, because I told y'all this is also tied to the parable of the wheat and tares, right? Watch this. Tares are sown among the wheat by an enemy. This is what happens in that parable of the wheat and tares. It said, "Good master, didn't you sow good seed in your field?" "Yeah, I did." "Well, tell me why there are tares sown among the wheat?" "An enemy had done this." "Do you want us to pluck them up?" "No, lest you also pluck up some of the good wheat. Let them grow together. And when the harvest comes, my father going to send the reapers, and they're going to separate the wheat from the tares. The wheat going to be gathered, bundled, and put into the storehouse. The tares are going to be gathered up, bundled, and cast into the fire. There'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth." You know what weeping and gnashing of teeth is? That's not weeping and gnashing of teeth because you got flames coming out your back. That's the flames. That's the weeping and gnashing of teeth that come with the guilt of you choosing to play for the wrong team. Choosing not to do the right thing that you knew was inside of you. All right? I talked about that in a previous video titled, "Do you know who the Messiah really was?" Do you know who the Messiah really was? All right? Let me show y'all. I ain't look here, man. This is the end game, y'all. I had this dream 33 years ago. How about that? I had a prophetic dream 33 years ago about the season that we're in right now, 1992. I'm a 19-year-old soldier in Kuwait. I'll never forget that dream. We here now. It's game time. It's about to be game over time. All right? Let me show y'all this. So you'll know the thumbnail when you see it. This is why this download was so heavy for me this morning, y'all, because I started seeing the connection with everything that I've been teaching on this channel for the last 5 years. I'm seeing a connection now, and I'm like, this feels scary because this feels like true up time. This feels like truth and reconciliation hour. This feels like this is where it all comes together. This feels like the end of the school year in the 12th grade. Right here. Do you know who the Messiah really was? That's the one y'all want to get right there. Y'all watch that. Okay? Let me copy that and put it in the chat. I don't know why it's quiet all of a sudden. In a strange way, it's quiet. And I know we ain't all in the same room, but for some reason, I'm picking up some major quiet energy right now. This is strange, y'all, but it's beautifully strange. Oh, excuse me. I hope y'all didn't hear that. Didn't get a chance to hit that mute button. Okay? So let me get back to this. So, do you know who the Messiah really was? Y'all check that out because I broke this whole thing down. People thought, oh, he's just this great, beautiful, kind, gentle soul that came here to love humanity and sacrifice himself on the cross so that everybody can die and go to heaven. Nah, he was a warrior. He was a warrior. Y'all watch that video. You'll see how I broke that down. Okay? In the same token that tares are sown among the wheat by an enemy, guess what? Wheat is also sown among the tares by the great I am. The universe always has and always will be a study of contrast and opposites. This is why I tell y'all, if y'all don't know what a certain zodiac sign means or the energy of it, look at the opposite sign on the same axis. If you don't know what a Leo is, but you know what an Aquarius is, then you know what a Leo is, because an Aquarius is going to be opposite a Leo. Leos love to be in the spotlight. They love the camera. The Leo's the one always taking selfies or getting in group pictures at a party. The Aquarius is the one chilling, like, nah, y'all go ahead, have a good time. I'm gonna make sure that y'all have a good time, though. I'm gonna make sure that ain't nothing getting in the way of y'all having a good time. It's a study of opposites, okay? All right. Tares are sown among the wheat by an enemy. I talked about that in that video. Do you know the Messiah really was? In the same token that tares are sown among the wheat by an enemy, wheat is also sown among the tares by the light. Okay. The universe always has and always will be a study of contrast and opposites. The base particle for all matter, aka material, the base particle for all matter, aka material, physical, tangible objects, is the atom, which is a positive and a negative that are held together by that zero force energy called a neutron. Zero force energy. That's the God particle. A lot of people don't understand that. That zero is a very special number. It's the number from which all numbers emerge and the number to which all numbers return. So, some who are living in a state of hell suffer, which is learning and experiencing, so that they are brought back into balance because they took actions that produced imbalance within themselves, a family line, or even the earth. So that's what that state of hell is. Some who are living in a state of hell are suffering, which is learning and experiences that are designed to bring them back into balance. What do you hear these people that are suffering do? They start crying, oh God, oh God, oh God, help me. They're coming back into alignment. They're suffering. That suffering is designed to bring you back into alignment. Others who are living in hellish conditions or unfavorable conditions were either chosen. I'm talking about not talking about the ones that are getting put back into alignment. I'm talking about the other ones. The other ones who are living in hellish or unfavorable conditions were either chosen or volunteered to literally go to hell to shine a powerful light, which exposes to the others who are suffering as karmic response how they fell out of balance so that they can bring themselves back into balance. When quote unquote Jesus, when quote unquote Christ, when Yeshua, when Yahushai, whatever name you want to use for him, when he came to earth, he literally came to hell. Y'all show me the accounts of him living it up. I'll wait. But now I'm going to show you something positive about that. For those who were sent to hell or volunteered to come to hell to free up some others. Because some of y'all chose to be born into certain family lines to rescue your mother, your grandmother, your daddy, your grandfather, your uncles, based on whether you're a male or a female. I told y'all, look at that Pluto placement. Whether you're male or female. Everybody I've ever done natal chart problem solving with, natal chart coaching with, every one of them that I asked about their Pluto placement, whether they're male or female, they could trace something back to an issue with the father or the grandfather or something like that, or great grandfather if they're male, or mother, grandmother, or great grandmother if they're female. Others who are living in hellish or unfavorable conditions were either chosen or volunteered literally to go to hell to shine a powerful light. Shout out to those of y'all that chose to come here to do something that was extremely difficult, or were chosen and said yes. Okay? Their light exposes to the others who are suffering as a karmic response exactly how they fell out of balance so that they can bring themselves back into alignment. You can't bring somebody else back into alignment. All you can do is shine a light. By your shining the light, they see the darkness. They see what was hidden in the darkness. They see what they could not see under obscurity. I was telling one of my homegirls today, I said, your job ain't to go out and get in a boat and go out into the sea and go find this quote unquote divine masculine who has lost his way. Your job is to simply man the lighthouse, turn the light on so that he can see the shoreline, and then you just go to bed. If you need to man the radio, if he say, hey, where's my, okay, answer. Don't be calling out to him. Your only job is to turn that light on. If he can see, then he can avoid those rocks that would tear his ship up, and he can safely navigate the shore. Your job is to simply man the lighthouse. It ain't to get out in no dinghy and go out there and get him. He went out in that boat. You go out there, you run the risk of drowning or crashing your boat too. Shine your light. That's all you came here to do. By shining your light, it exposes what's hidden in the darkness and allows somebody to guide and navigate their way back. But they have to do the work. You can't do it. But shout out to those of y'all that volunteered and don't even know that you volunteered to come here. Some of y'all that grew up in that family line where nobody understood you. Seemed like nobody got you. They treated you like an outcast. They treated you like you were weird, called you funny, tried to belittle you because you were smarter than them fellas, or you ran faster, or something about you were more handsome than everybody else, or try to downplay you ladies because you prettier than the next person, and you ain't bragging or nothing. You just are who you are. Oh, she don't fit in. You ain't one of us. You weren't supposed to fit in. You came here to shine your light for somebody who cross paths with, who's going to see you and say, hey, I can see my way now. Let me climb out of this situation. There's my example. Okay? The interesting thing that we see with those who either volunteered or were sent to hell to shine their bright light is that though they may not have the best of everything there is, and most don't, at least not early on anyway. And why would they? Because that would be heaven on earth, right? If they had the best of everything, they wouldn't be in hell. They'd be in heaven, because heaven and hell are right here in the same realm. It is based on your reality. So again, the interesting thing that we see with those who either volunteered or were sent to hell to shine their light is that though they may not have the best of everything there is, they are still provided for, and they never go lacking. How about that? There's your evidence right there. There's your evidence right here. You came into hell to rescue a family lineage, somebody in your soul group. And guess what? Even though you came to hell and you don't have the best of everything, because if you did, you wouldn't be in hell, you'd be in heaven. You are provided for and you never go lacking. And now we know that whether we are talking about Yeshua or those that are not known to the pages of history that did similar or greater works. Remember, he said, greater works than these shall you do. So whether we're talking about him, the Messiah, or those that were not known to the pages of history that did similar or greater works, one thing is true. They are all, each and every one of them, galactic royals who left heaven to go to hell to destroy the works of darkness and restore the light. This is why a lot of light workers, they don't care about money. They can't be bought. They can't be bought. You know why? Because even though they don't perhaps have a conscious memory of the realm that they came from, they have a soul memory. So money means nothing to a royal because they came here from royalty. They came here from wealth and great riches. A lot of them left palaces in the ether or in other realities to come here and live a regular ASS life in order to shine their light, to help rescue and restore somebody else back to balance. And it ain't always people. Sometimes it's just to bring balance and light back into the earth realm. Some of y'all are the ones that the earth called for, just like that little bit of earth in those tombs cried out, and here comes the Messiah. It ends up resolving in this man who has the light deciding, hey, I need to get to this town over here, and the fastest way for me to get here is to cut through these tombs. No, don't go through there, man. There's a crazy man in there. He might kill you. I ain't worried about him, man. You know who I am? I just told y'all I'm the juggernaut. I'm gone. That land cried out. He was sent. Some of y'all are on ley lines. Some of y'all are on different grids in the earth where you're simply being there reactivates something. Reactivates the healing processes of the earth. It came from the earth crying out because there were low vibrational entities sitting on it. So this is why those of you who were sent here to hell, the Messiah, and those that were not known to the pages of history, they can't be bought. Why? Because they're galactic royals. They come from money. So money doesn't interest them. The only way money interests them is saying, hey, you know what? I just don't want to owe nobody no money. I don't want nobody saying I owe you. I don't like paying bills. But they ain't trying to amass all of this right here so they can floss and say, yeah, I got this in San Tropez and I got this of that and I fly this and I got this product. They don't care about that. There's something inside of them that said, hey, I came here to do a specific task. I came here to do some work, and I don't need to be laden down with having to slave in order to pay bills. Because if I do that, I can't do what I was sent here to do. You get that little bit of awakening causes the Most High to activate something in you. It says, okay, boom. A lot of the light workers you see are not in corporate America. A lot of them are not in corporate America. A lot of them are entrepreneurs. They work for themselves. When you are free from those corporate bonds, then you can move as the Spirit moves you. Am I right or wrong? So, heaven is the other side of the karmic reward, and it too is experienced in the flesh. We talked about hell. Heaven is the other side of the karmic reward. So when these light workers that you see doing this stuff right here, now, the next time you see them in a physical body, they're going to be the ones that's living it up because that's their reward. God don't work you back-to-back shifts. He doesn't. He don't never make you work a double shift. You work and you rest. The difference between the workers of light and the workers of imbalance is that one group comes from heaven and works to create heaven on earth for all those who have balanced themselves. The other creates an artificial heaven on earth by keeping those who would experience it in the dark. Remember, when a house is found abandoned, anyone can come in and inhabit it, right? So that's the other ones. The workers of iniquity, they come here to create an artificial heaven on earth. And they do that by keeping those with the light from switching on the light. And that goes right back to what I was talking about their tools are. What are their tools? Illusions. The types of illusions that lead to temptation and distractions, or the types of illusions that breed temptation and distractions. So they create an artificial heaven on earth. Bill Gates is the richest man on the planet. Yeah, because him and his lineage created an artificial heaven on earth. His daddy was a eugenicist, worked alongside Margaret Sanger, one of the biggest known eugenicists in the history of the earth, at least in modern history. So these workers of iniquity, they create an artificial heaven on earth by using the primary and secondary tools that I mentioned above, illusion and distraction. Once the illusions and distractions fail, y'all wait for it. Once the illusions and distractions fail, the only tool they have left is violence and chaos. Why do you think you're seeing all this war now? People are waking up. They're waking up. They're not falling for it anymore. Ain't nobody falling for no pandemic news no more. Fauci on the run. Y'all seen the latest? Y'all watch. Maybe I'll put that Jimmy Dore video I saw this morning in the comments after this live stream is over. They know what really happened in 2020 and 2021 now. They know. They know. So ain't nobody falling for that pandemic stuff no more. This is why war drums are beating louder than ever before. This is why it's quite conceivable that the United States would be in a major war next year. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm also not saying it's not going to happen. Because once the illusions and distractions fail, the only tools that they have left is violence and chaos, which are somehow masterfully interwoven into the entire story based on the wheel of time, aka the cosmos, which was authored and engineered by the force that is greater than all of us and that connects us all. Y'all watch that show on Amazon Prime Video called The Wheel of Time. What is the darkness constantly trying to do across each season of that show? They're trying to break the wheel of time because they understand that everything has a season, and their season of ruling with darkness is coming due. So they try everything they can to break the wheel of time, which none of them created. That's the same thing these workers of iniquity do, which is why they keep playing with the doggone clocks every year. Spring forward, fall back. Spring forward, fall back. All right, y'all. I wish I had a little bell in here because I'd ring it. Y'all know when you're watching the Olympics, they got that 10,000 meter race when they get to that last lap, you hear that cling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. All right, we're on the last lap, y'all. We're on the last lap. So keep this in mind as we end, that both heaven and hell are temporary states. They both are temporary states. Heaven ain't permanent and hell ain't permanent. Both heaven which is blissful rest, and hell, suffering, aka the learning and suffering that brings us back into balance and equilibrium, they both exist right here on earth. Keep that in mind. I've said that. Keep that in mind. I've said that a couple times tonight. The darkness uses temptation to lure those who are in a state of heaven as a reward into using their rewards for wicked deeds. So don't think just because you're in heaven that the darkness isn't going to come with that same temptation. Why? Because the darkness and the light exist in the same realm. So that temptation is designed, when you are in heaven, that temptation is designed to get you to turn your light off. Remember what I told you about the enemy. The enemy only has a certain capacity, frequency capacity. He cannot be high. He cannot be high capacity. He can't be high vibrational. So what he attempts to do when he wants to come after somebody that's high vibrational, he tempts you to lower your frequency. Because guess what? He's a master at a lower frequency. So if he can get you to come down here, he can beat your ASS down there. You know why? Because you're not used to existing down there. So you got to, that's why in Star Wars, they're always saying, use the Force, Luke. Don't give in to the dark side. Every Jedi that has ever fallen in the Star Wars series gave in to one of those low vibrational frequencies: fear, anger, guilt, shame. You also see it in the Wheel of Time. For them to overcome that and get upgraded, they have to go and face their biggest source of shame. And they tell the people in there, many don't come back from that. They can't overcome whatever it was that they're feeling guilty or ashamed about. They put this stuff right in front of our face. Y'all got to watch these shows and know what you're looking at. So don't think just because you're in heaven, you're not going to be tempted by the darkness. That was the whole story of the temptation after the 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness. Bow down and worship me. I'll give you all these kingdoms of the earth. Oh, those that are in heaven get tempted. Not that he was in heaven, but the light was still tempted. The temptation was to get him not to finish the course because he came here to rescue everybody else. The enemy knew that. It's a game. It's a cosmic game. If I can get him to bow down and worship me and I control him, guess what? This is a master alchemist. I'm not going to kill him. He's too powerful. Just like Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars. Darth Vader really didn't want to kill Luke Skywalker. He wanted him to join the dark side because he knew Luke had the power to destroy the rest of the Jedi. Why? Because he's an alchemist. So what did the enemy do? He tried to tempt the Messiah into lowering his vibration so he can use that powerful alchemy to turn light into darkness. Now, the light uses that light. The light uses the light to expose what is hidden in the darkness, to give those who are lost in it a way of escaping. That's why the darkness hates the light, because the light illuminates all things. Those who have the light in them but are lost in the dark, they get recharged when they see the light. This is why you have to shine your light. Now, what I have described here is the medium light stars. There is such a thing as spiritual ranking. A lot of people don't want to hear that. There is such a thing as spiritual ranking. There is such a thing as light ranking. There is a such thing as darkness ranking. There are some spaces that are darker than others. There are some spaces that are lighter than others. You got a 35-watt light bulb and you got a 60-watt light bulb. A 60-watt light bulb shines brighter than a 35-watt light bulb, okay? In the same token, there's a such thing as a spiritual ranking. A lot of people don't want to hear that. Why? Because Christianity and popular religion and education teaches us that we're all equal, when the truth is, we are not all equal. That's the inconvenient truth that nobody wants to hear. No, we're not all equal. Was Michael Jordan equal to anybody on them 85 to 97 Chicago Bulls? No. The whole time he was in a Bulls uniform, he was the best player on the team. Well, we're all equal. Are all of y'all scoring champions? Can all of y'all get the ball in your hand and win the game with the game-winning shot? Steph Curry, well, we're all equal. Can y'all drain these threes from half court like me with your eyes closed? We got to stop this lie of everybody's equal. Everybody has a role, but everybody's not equal. The evidence can easily be seen by looking at the heavens. Go outside and look at the nighttime sky. If you watch the stars, which is where we come from, you'll see that some of them shine super bright and others shine dimly, but you can still see them. Now, some of these stars are so dark that they cannot be observed with the naked eye, and they require special telescopes or eyes to see them. What am I talking about, Matt? Consider Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto and how they operate. You can't see Uranus with your naked eye. You can't see Neptune with your naked eye. You can't see Pluto with your naked eye. You can see Saturn with your naked eye. You can see Jupiter with your naked eye. You can see Mars with your naked eye. You can see Venus. You can definitely see Venus with your naked eye. You can see Mercury with your naked eye. And of course, everybody sees the sun and the moon, okay? But Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they require special eyes, aka telescopes, to see them. Why? Because what they do, their very nature is to not be seen. Watch this. Uranus is sudden, unexpected occurrences. If you could see it, it wouldn't be sudden and unexpected now, would it? Neptune is deep and sometimes murky waters. You can't see in deep or murky water without a light. And Pluto is that transformation, hidden power, alchemy. It is the force of change that appears only when it is divinely scheduled to do so. Okay? But still, you can't see it with the naked eye. You're not supposed to be able to. If they could see Pluto, do you think Pluto and Aquarius would do the upheaval that we're seeing right now with some of this leadership around the planet? There's certain energies that you're not supposed to be able to see with your naked eye. That's all intelligent design. So all in all, if there are stars that are super bright like Venus, which represents love and beauty, and Jupiter, which represents wisdom, abundance, and expansion, and not forgetting the sun, of course, which is so bright that it is the only thing that you see not long after sunrise. It's the only star you see not long after sunrise. Now, Venus, let me show you Venus's power. Venus, again, is love and beauty. This is why people that have Venusian qualities, you can't look away from them. You cannot look away from them, male or female. If they have Venusian qualities, you feel them when they come in the room and you see them and you can't look away from them. Okay, it's hard to look away from them. They draw attention, just like Venus does in that nighttime sky. You don't know what Venus is in the nighttime sky? Listen or check your web browser to see when Venus is going to be available in your part of the world again. And when you go out there, whatever time Venus appears, you literally are looking at it like, is that an airplane? But it's not moving, but it's looking like it's coming right at me. That's how bright it is. It literally looks like a super bright headlight on an airplane. That's how you know when you're looking at Venus, okay? Super bright represents love and beauty, okay? So, but here's the thing with Venus. Venus is so powerful, love, beauty, that you can still see it at sunrise. That's the bright morning star that you hear about in scripture, is Venus, okay? And then in contrast, there are stars that shine more dimly. The stars do not have equal light, and neither do people. That's just a fact. But that's okay, because like the stars, everyone has a unique purpose. Venus may be the brightest star after the sun and moon, but she cannot do what Pluto does. So whether you see a high vibrational person that is super wealthy and is so high vibe and selfless that you can feel the love when you're in their presence, or you see a low vibrational person that is super wealthy but does wicked things, what is true is that the next time you see both of them, they will probably not be clothed in the finest linens, okay? The question is, why are they here? Are they here to restore balance or upset it? At the end of all of this, to know the fate of the brightest lights, which I like to call God's elite force members, somewhat similar to the Jedi Masters that we often see in Star Wars, is to know that God's elite are given the choice. Okay? At the end of all of this, to know the fate of the brightest lights is to know that God's elite are always given the choice. They can choose to experience a life of bliss on earth as their reward, or they can choose to stay in the ethereal realms and serve as a guide to the living, aka spirit guides. Y'all go watch that video I shared with y'all earlier on spirit guides. Or they can choose to have a new experience where they come to earth to help awaken others to the reality that this whole thing is like a game that we all choose to play, one that is carefully planned before we arrive here, including who the players are and what their roles are. Some people are main characters and some are cast members or supporting cast. Some are the main characters that play for the light and have supporting cast members that help them with their missions. And others are main characters who play for the dark and have their own supporting cast members. The darkness has the advantage as long as it can somehow keep the lights within the middle ground entities from turning on. What do they always tell you about in these presidential elections? Traditional red states are typically going to go red. So the Republicans, they don't even waste time campaigning in blue states, or the Democrats don't waste their time spending a bunch of their campaign money in a state that's historically always going to go red, and vice versa. The Democrats don't historically spend their money. I'm sorry, the Republicans don't historically spend a whole bunch of money campaigning in a state that is always going to go blue. They don't spend a lot of their campaign dollars. Republicans don't spend a lot of their campaign dollars in New York and California, and Democrats don't spend a lot of their campaign dollars in freaking Texas and South Carolina. Okay, those are just two examples. They look for those quote unquote swing states. Those swing states are those that have those lights within them, but for some reason they're not switched on. So the battleground is them. Why? Because the light workers already got the light. What the darkness is doing is they're trying to keep the light workers from activating the light within those swing state personnel. That's the game, y'all. That's the whole game. So the game, aka the simulation, ends when the light workers activate enough light within the realm to drive out all the darkness. Y'all go watch the third installation of the Lord of the Rings films, Return of the King. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. This theme is covered in Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Now, you have to really watch all three of the films to, you got to watch 1 and 2 to get the backdrop and to understand what's going to happen in Lord of the Rings 3. But Lord of the Rings 3 is the final act. When you've seen Lord of the Rings 3, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. The game ends, aka the simulation. You hear a lot of people saying life is a simulation. I get that. I truly understand, overstand, and understand that. Okay? The game ends, or the simulation ends, when the light workers activate enough light within the realm to drive out all the darkness. This works in the same way that the appearance of the sun ends the darkness of night. But we know that eventually the sun is going to move on and the darkness of night returns. And that, my friends, is eternity. That's eternity. Okay? All right. That's the game, y'all. So, yes, everybody goes to heaven and hell. The question is, if you're in heaven, what did you do to get there? And if you're in hell, why are you there? Are you suffering, aka learning? Or have you chosen to come there to shine your light to help restore those who are imbalanced back into balance? All right, that's all I got. I'm going to read some comments. If y'all got any questions, drop them in the chat. I'm going back up and go through the comments, y'all. Thank y'all for being here. I know this one was lengthy, but I wanted to get through all of it. So thank y'all. Thank y'all. Let's see what we got here, because I know I got a lot to do here. Let's see. Oh, I'm not too bad. I see y'all loved Randy. Maybe I'll bring Randy back out one day. I don't know. Maybe I'll bring Randy back out to maybe we'll see if we can't get him a different chakra to focus on. Right now, Randy's stuck on that sacral chakra with Chakra Khan. Okay. Chakra Khan, but I tell you what, I might go watch me some Chakra Khan when I get off this here live stream. I don't know, Bo. I don't know. I know. Look, I don't mean to be racist, but that's a beautiful black woman right there, Bo. It is. Balance my sacral chakra right now, Bo. It's getting balanced. It's getting balanced. I'm just kidding. My mom always said, Matt, you always got to push the envelope. Let me stop. Let me pull up. All right, y'all. Let's see. I know that this comment is extremely late, but however, here in Louisiana, most of the trees still have leaves and the shrubs are blooming flowers. Yo, Karen. Yo, check this out. I got fruit trees in my backyard that are starting to bud. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Talked about that in the Bible. Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. Juvenile. Wow. I don't understand people who keep up with football and sports and their celebrities and whatever. You know, I still will watch an interesting game, but there's so much stuff out here now about how rigged it is, and you can see it. I literally, I'm be honest with you, I lost 95% of my flavor for sports when the pandemic hit. I used to like sit there and watch the tennis tournaments, the U.S. Open, Australia Open, French Open, Wimbledon. I would watch them all day. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not anymore. So was I, kept off balance. Beauty of core physics. I don't know. Russia and Ukraine seem to be great at it. Yeah. People yell at the TV like they're actually at the stadium and they can be heard. There's even a Geico commercial poking at this. This is true. And I ain't gonna judge because I've done it too. I thought about the Bible verse. So as a man thinketh in his heart. Yep. Doing to others as you'd have them doing to you. You reap what you sow. Very true. Matt, could karma be a correction tool to help someone return back to the path? You know what? I'm late on your question, but absolutely. I think you got the answer, Tora girl. That is absolutely true. So sharp. If then logic. Yep. Y'all, I got some computer people in here. Okay. I studied coding in college too. You know what's funny? I wanted to be a computer programmer, and then I ended up getting a job doing network support, and I never looked back. And I had a guy who worked with me at one of the help desk jobs I had. He came to me and he said, this is the best decision you made. He said he was a programmer for 12 years. And he said he just got tired of sitting in front of a keyboard all day in a little room where he didn't talk to people. He said, Matt, you're too much of a people person to be behind a keyboard. So he said, you did the right thing. But yeah, I studied coding too. Right now to flow charts, all of that. Commander Cisco, mission based. Yep. Let's see. I think the key to heaven is love and the key to hell is fear. Choose love or fear. Israelites feared to enter the promised land and they lost their opportunity to enter because they chose fear. This is true. That's a good point. Personally, I just think each journey is just another journey the soul wanted to experience. It's not personal. At 62, my God does not punish. Karma is experiential for the soul. I do not disagree with you. I said that. Zero. God is that zero energy. It's a reflector. You do an addition operation where you add zero to any number, the original number remains. God is that zero energy. So what you're looking at is a reflection of yourself, right? Reflection of yourself. When you follow the instruction, you get the reward. When you fail to follow the instruction, it's your own fault. I always use the cake example. If the cake says bake at 325 for 1 hour, but you want to hurry up because you got to go somewhere, so you turn it up to 400 thinking you can cut it down to 30 minutes, and you destroy the cake, well, you didn't follow the instructions that were on the box. So did Betty Crocker punish you, or did you punish yourself? I use that example all the time. That's a good point, Beauty of Core. Willing to be wrong. I don't believe in absolutes. That this Venus in Pisces has learned. Venus in Pisces is an interesting that's an interesting placement, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. That's a very interesting placement. I've learned some things about Venus and Pisces. Very interesting, but I'm not going to get into that. Can a narrow path be like through the eye of the needle? I never made that connection. I never even looked at that connection, so I can't answer that right now. But that's a great question. Life, heaven, and hell right here in the flesh for sure. Yup. Okay, that was me. Let's see. Matt, what is your view on wealth? Is it wrong to be rich? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's what you do. I think it's what you choose to do with what you have. Are you doing something high vibrational or low vibrational? If you're doing something to create imbalance, then you're going to be rebalanced. Okay. And the balance in the area that you knocked out of balance is going to be restored. But if you're doing something that is high vibrational, yeah. The scripture doesn't say it's the money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. So that was a great question. Awakening, beautiful core. There's nothing wrong being rich. It's what you, I just said that. Okay, good. What about the 432 hertz music? 432 hertz heart chakra. I love it. I listen to that a few times a week. I do. I play 432 hertz and I use it. What's the word? I didn't want to say prophylactically because that would be using it kind of like preemptively. No, I kind of use it if I've had something that got me upset. I'll play 432 hertz music, and that'll soothe the heart chakra and just kind of calm everything down. So yes, I love 432 hertz music. I do. And I'm talking about the frequencies. I'm not talking about the encoding. Now I've heard about the difference between when everything was encoded at 432 hertz frequency, and then they switched it to 440 hertz, which throws you out of balance. So I got that. One is 9 energy. The other one is 8 energy. 8 energy keeps you in a loop, keeps you stuck in a loop. 9 energy, you run a full cycle. 9 is completion. So yeah, 432 hertz to me is, there's no comparison, no comparing 432 to 440. 440 got to go. I wish they make the international standard. Well, I don't wish, it will. It's going to come back to 432 hertz. It's going to come back to it. Having money allows you to help others. I think you can just have wealth and keep it only to yourself and think you are morally okay. By the way, anybody watching this on demand, I'm just going through the comments now. I don't think I'm going to timestamp this. So if you want to click off at this point, you can. If you don't want to sit here and watch me read the comments for anybody watching on demand, just wanted to say that. Sorry if I look impatient, Matt. I know you'll be back to answer my questions when you're done. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Walu Clippy. I appreciate that. I really do. Said this is deep. Do you think Japanese filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki is high vibe because of his views on nature and how his films depict it? I'm not sure if I've ever seen any of his films. You would have to drop maybe one or two of his titles in the chat so I can know what films he's been in. But I don't recall him as a filmmaker. That name doesn't ring a bell. Yes, English is cursed. Yes, it is. Oh, that's me. I can skip past that. Tarot. Let's see. Hell, OL, and bless, be less, for example. Interesting. Said I also noticed strong has wrong. They want us weak during the week. And yeah, I've seen those videos. I've seen those reels where they broke that down. Job is also a Hebrew word that means persecuted. Wow. How about that? How about that? How many people are persecuted on the job, right? I can give you some stories. A multiplier. Binary, yes. Zeros and ones. I need to order a new Sefer Bible because the one I have is falling apart from all the use. LOL. I don't have one. I should probably get one. I've heard too many good things about it. Has anyone seen the YouTube channel Revival of Wisdom? Let me write that down because I have not. Let me write that down. Hang on. Let me put that in my notes. Thank y'all for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And thank y'all for still sticking around here for the what do you call it? Recap or whatever. Let's see. Revival of Wisdom. I have to check that out when I have time, y'all. I've been so busy here lately. Okay. Makes sense. VV. Okay. So y'all know then. Y'all know good. So y'all have seen Vikings Valhalla. You know that show, man. I'm telling you, make that connection. Go back and watch maybe season 1 or just if you've seen it, just recount the themes, what was happening there in the British Isles and the British breaking their promise to let these Vikings worship in their ancient ways. They broke the promises and started attacking them. That happened on the Iberian Peninsula. I think that story in Vikings Valhalla is a story of what happened on the Iberian Peninsula with the ancient Sephardim and the Christian Visigoths. Something about making it Christian again, I think. We're going to make America great again. We're going to do it. We're going to make it great. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Christian country. Oh, yeah, it's a good series. The Visigoths returned to power. That's why 1492 is called Reconquista. Exactly. Matt, you're so smart. Thank you, Beauty Core. I appreciate it. I got the download. I put it together. He trusts me with it. Beauty Core. Or she trusts me with it if you want to talk about Mama Divine, a.k.a. Wisdom, which some call Sophia. I get it. I love the subject matter. Thank you, Matt, so much, so very much to Cypher. Yup. This is true. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Y'all are welcome. Send an electric shock to your heart, your electric box. Yep. They trace your electrons. Okay, I got past that. Restart the connection. We need notebooks at this point. And you are very generous. I appreciate y'all. I really do. They never taught that in my CPR class. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, that's really what it's about. Right? I didn't hear it in this way either. Yup. Yeah. The CPR class is basic, but they don't tell you what happens when somebody flatlines. That you got to be ER staff to kind of to understand what's going on there. This is exactly what they taught in church. That's why they taught that Jesus went to hell and took the keys from Satan. Yup. All of that's made up stuff. To keep that teaching right there, TNT Love, is a distraction in and of itself. That is part of the distraction, the illusion. He physically, y'all, I'm telling you, once you open your eyes, there's some things that you cannot unsee. Hellenized Israelites in hell. How about that? That's pretty good, Bernadette. That's pretty good. Oh, wow. Thank you. Because you cannot convince people who have been industrialized in church that Jesus did not come for everybody. They will kick you out and call you a heretic. Yep. Indoctrination. No, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Pardon me, y'all. Jump start. Yep. Tell the truth, Matt. Always keep on waking people up. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Facts. This is the end game. It certainly is. Oh, that was mine. Let's see. I felt that quietness as well. Yeah, it's spiritual. You can feel that. It's crazy, right? Y'all are tapped in. Aquarius, hey. Heard this number March 2nd, 2018, right before I woke up. Wow. Wow. 31079. Wow. What does that break down to? 16, 20. Okay. All right. Interesting. What is that thing called? The Garibaldi or Garimaldi codes or something like that? Y'all put that in the chat if you know what that meant. I've seen a couple of people talking about that. Is this what that number 8 means? Understanding? Is this what that number 8 means? Understanding? I'm not sure. Not sure. Never heard it called that. One knowledge. This reminds me of the movie Come Sunday, where the famous pastor Carlton Pearson started teaching there was no hell in the Christian sense, and he was ostracized by the Christian establishment. Wow. Wow. I remember Carlton Pearson. Singer, too. Had some great music. I feel this and have always felt this. Zero cipher, 7 God, 9 born. They bring about the infinite knowledge. Listen, look at what the 9 is. When you look at what that 9 is a 0 with a hook on it. It's a 0 with a hook on it. So that 0, that again, if you think about it, 9 and 0 are God numbers. 9 and 0 are God numbers, okay? 0, you add it to any number, it reflects back to, both of them reflect. Think about it. The 0, when you do anything plus 0, you got that original number. That original number stands. So 0 in effect is a reflector. This is why I tell people they look at me crazy when I say God neither punishes you nor blesses you. You bless yourself when you follow the instruction. You curse yourself when you fail to follow the instruction. All there exist are possibilities, but there are consequences that are associated with each course of action within the realm of that possibility. Okay. But that 0, you add it to any number, the original number remains. So it reflects that original energy right back to you. The 9, when you're doing a numerological reduction, 9 always cancels itself out. When you're doing numerology, and when you're doing, 9, I think 9 is that feminine number, and 0, in a sense, could be that masculine polarity of God, and the 9 could be that feminine, in a sense, feminine 9, right? So you take that 9 and you do a numerological reduction, that original number always remains. Okay? If you do a numerological reduction, that original number always remains. Take, for example, 333 plus 9. 333 plus 9. You reduce that numerologically, what do you have? 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9, plus 9, okay, is 18. That reduces right back down to 9. If you do 25 plus 9, 2 plus 5 is 7. Plus 9 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. So the 9 cancels itself out and you're right back with that 7. So people need to understand that God is always going to show you yourself. God is always going to show you yourself, whether you're dealing with the 0 or the 9. That is beautiful. That's beautiful. They bring about infinite knowledge. Yup. Man, y'all, man, it is such a reward, man, to be around people that get it. It really is. It really is. She said my sisters would call me the oddball. Exactly. Because you came here to do something different. You came here with light codes that they don't understand. You're absolutely right about us light workers. Yup. We're not, no, everybody's not equal. Everybody's not equal. You tell me Usain Bolt's equal. I'll wait. Usain Bolt at 6'5". If he racing a guy that's 5'10" and he's 6'5", and both of them are moving their legs at 1,000 RPM, guess what? Usain Bolt is gonna travel further and faster because his legs are longer. I ran track too. I kind of know how that works. I wasn't fast. I wasn't fast. I had nice form. I looked fast, but I wasn't fast. But I looked good while I was running. Okay, my form was great. They used to joke with me about that. Man, he got great form, man. He looked pretty running. And ain't going nowhere. But those that were picking at me about my lack of speed never could beat me in endurance. So everything balances out. I'm a Capricorn. I'm built for endurance anyway. You want speed, get one of them Mercury people. All right? Gratitude. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Tennis fake now. OMG. Yeah, it's starting. I'm starting not to enjoy watching tennis. I still like playing. And like if they call me tomorrow and say, yo, Matt, can you be at the court at 3:30? I'm there. I still enjoy playing, but watching it, nah. Hayao Miyazaki creating animated films in Japan like My Neighbor Totoro and Spirited Away and Castle. I've never seen any of his films. I never have. I'd have to look them up. Let me write that one down too. Thank you. I tell y'all, come on here and learn stuff from y'all, man, all the time. Hayao Miyazaki. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of him before. His film Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is about a toxic forest or jungle taking over the earth and man trying to destroy it, but it keeps fighting back. Wow. That's very interesting. Gematria. Watch that film. There's a deeper insight in how nature works and how humanity needs to learn to live with it and how disrupting it will lead to consequences and imbalance and whatnot. Yep. And when you upset nature, nature will get rid of you. She will get rid of you. Thank you. That is the word, Nikki Busby. All right, y'all. That's all I got. I'm through the comments. So thank y'all for being here. This is a little bit longer video, but I appreciate those of y'all that stuck around. And I hope y'all got something out of tonight's video. So listen, maybe the whole reason for tonight's video is to wake you up and get you out of any type of fear factor that you might be carrying, because y'all, that age flip it's knocking on the door. It's knocking on the door, y'all. So I want to see y'all on the other side. I want to see y'all on the rest and relaxation side. I know what's next for me. I ain't worried about nothing. I know what's next for me. I know what I came here to do. I know what's up next for me. So I want to see some of y'all there too. I want to see some of y'all high vibe tribe there too, man. And we're close. We're close. So thank y'all. Thank y'all for being here. And y'all hit that like button for me on the way out if you haven't done so already. If you're new to the channel and you like being entertained, educated, uplifted, and inspired, hit that subscribe button and make sure you set the notification bell to all so you'll be notified when I upload new content. Tell somebody you love them and mean it. How do you mean it? You have to show it, right? Love is a verb. It's a noun as well. But when we focus on the verb, the noun always takes care of itself. And last but not least, family, last but not least, she said, I so love that I found you, man. I was meant to be. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Nikki. I really do. This live is truly awesome. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate all of y'all. So last thing, y'all, I say it all the time. I'm going to say it again. Authenticity is the only way you're going to arrive at your destiny. Your destiny is looking for you, but is looking for the authentic version of you. And if you are not operating in authenticity, what is yours cannot find you. What is yours is looking for you, and what is yours cannot be taken away from you. Okay? Can you be delayed? Yes. But turn that light on. You turn your light on by operating in authenticity. Find out who you are and operate in that and stay in it. Learn your natal chart. Study your natal chart. Study what those placements mean. When you feel yourself getting out of balance, say, wait a minute. That's not how a 7th house Aries behaves. Let me act like a 7th house. Let me act like an Aries in the 7th house would. That's not how a first house, whatever your first house sign is, behaves. Let me act like that. That's not what a Mars and blah, blah, blah does. Let me stop dimming my light to make other people comfortable. Don't do that, y'all. This ain't the season to do it in. The light is returning. So join that light by shining yours brighter. All right? That's the only way we're going to drive this darkness out of the realm. It's time for the darkness to go. I love y'all, man. Peace.